Chapter 1072. Your sacred beast can't do it either. Li Fan withdrew his palm. It can't even take one hit. A monkey. Open the seal. The young man seemed to be a little angry. He immediately scolded. The red-haired monkey suddenly roared. Its feathers seemed to be burning, a dazzling fiery red. The monkey's body also began to expand. Soon, it grew to the size of a normal man, about 1.6 or 1.7 meters tall. Its body was covered in fiery red fur, and it wore a black fire cloud armor. It held a golden iron staff in its hand. Holy crap, it's a great sage. Li Fan could not help but want to give it a thumbs up when he saw its appearance. On the monkey's head, a strand of red hair was burning, giving people a sense of awe. This is the true form of a sacred beast. Number 10 crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. He looked at Li Fan proudly. Prepare to bear the wrath of a sacred beast. Li Fan was indeed a little shocked. This monkey could transform. No wonder it was called a sacred beast. How awesome! A monkey. Take him down. Number 10 ordered. The monkey squeaked twice, then suddenly picked up its staff and jumped towards Li Fan. It really had the demeanor of the legendary Monkey King. Li Fan looked at the Monkey King. In the blink of an eye, the monkey had jumped in front of him with its staff. At the same time, the staff in its hand smashed down on Li Fan's head, creating a gust of wind. Li Fan raised his right hand to block. Clang! The staff hit Li Fan's arm and was blocked. However, his body sank, and his knees pressed against the ground, creating a pit. Such great strength. Li Fan could not help but exclaim, "It seems that there are still many things I don't understand about China. Still talking so much nonsense. A monkey, make him quiet." The fiery monkey waved its weapon and attacked Li Fan repeatedly. Li Fan roughly analyzed its strength. In terms of strength, it was at least at the peak of perfection, possibly at the pinnacle level. This kind of master was rare even in the martial arts world. If it was the 12 holy beasts, it meant that there were at least 12 such great experts here. It was really a pretty good combat power. It's just a monkey. Don't be too presumptuous. As Li Fan spoke, he found a gap in the monkey's defense and pressed down with his palm. Following that, he used the Ape King cannon on the monkey's body. Boom! The monkey was sent flying, instantly smashing through the wall behind it and smashing into the corridor outside. Monkey's body was embedded in the wall outside, and the flame on its head was a little dim. How should I put this? Don't look down on us martial artists. Li Fan put down his palm and looked at monkey outside the door. Otherwise, you will suffer. A monkey. Adjust your stance and use flaming tornado. Number 10 gave the order, using his voice to control the monkey to attack. With Number 10's command, the monkey obviously had an order. It pulled out its body and waved its stick. Its whole body began to spin. The stick was covered in flames and began to burn fiercely. It really looked like a flaming tornado was spinning towards Li Fan. Li Fan took a few steps back and dodged the flaming tornado. Keep spinning and force him into a corner. Number 10 continued to give the order. The tornado continued to roll, forcing Li Fan into a corner of the room. Not a bad tactic. Li Fan nodded. But it's not enough. As he spoke, he found an opening and suddenly stretched out his hands. Clap. He grabbed the stick, and the monkey's rotation stopped. The flame whirlwind stopped abruptly in front of Li Fan. Damn, no way! Number 10 was dumbfounded. How could he block this move? This Li Fan was really a monster. Cold sweat dripped down Number 10's forehead. He remembered that if Li Fan really attacked him in City G, he would have killed him before a monkey. A monkey, flame burst and keep attacking. Although Number 10 was a little scared, this was not the time to be afraid. He had to take down Li Fan quickly. He gave the order. The stick burst into flames and shook off Li Fan's hand. Then, the monkey waved its flaming stick and attacked Li Fan repeatedly. It waved the flaming stick in an orderly manner, attacking Li Fan one after another. The monkey's stick moved faster and heavier. Even Li Fan found it difficult to completely block it. His crane hand was knocked back several times, and his palm was still a little numb. This monkey was really something. Number 10, What are you looking at? Come help me. Number 10 shouted at the little girl who was watching the fun. Hey, isn't your monkey quite powerful? Does eldest senior brother still need my help? Hold on tight. You won't be able to explain yourself if he escapes. Number 10 reminded the little girl, Zhang Xinran. Hurry up. I'm coming. What are you rushing me for? The little lowly sighed. You men are so impatient. Little fat pig, go help him. The little white pig grunted and then took a few steps on the spot. Then, it started running and bumped into the monkey's foot. The monkey was knocked to the ground. It could be seen how strong the little white pig was. What are you doing? Number 10 was annoyed. You can't blame me. He's a stupid pig. The little girl spread her hands and scolded her sacred beast. Go help that monkey, stupid pig. Grunt, grunt. The little white pig seemed happy after being scolded by its owner. It shook its butt and bumped into Li Fan. Li Fan blocked the monkey's attack and raised his leg, sending the little white pig flying. Enough. Li Fan had already tested monkey's depth. He suddenly turned around and used beating the tiger, sending monkey flying with a palm before he could make a move. At the same time, he gave the little white pig another kick, sending it into the little girl's embrace. The two sacred beast guardians were defeated just like that, but number 10 was still unconvinced. Release the seal. Number 12. I don't want it. The little girl curled her lips. It's so ugly after releasing the seal. I don't want it. Number 10 was speechless. Are the two of you done playing? Li Fan sat back on the chair and looked at the two of them. I'm sick of playing. If you don't find your adults, I'll really go eat. Since you're already here, why are you in such a hurry? Don't be impatient. A middle-aged man in military uniform walked in. When the two sacred beast guardians saw him, they immediately saluted him. General? General? Li Fan crossed his legs and looked at the middle-aged man in front of him. He's only middle-aged, but he's already a general? Let me introduce myself. I'm the leader of the 12 heavenly generals. Chapter 1073. I am the leader of the 12 heavenly generals. The middle-aged man made a simple self-introduction. Number 10, you are in charge of finding someone to repair the room. Number 12, bring your pig and come with us. He invited Li Fan. How about it? Do you want to visit our base? Aren't you going to capture me? Why are you inviting me so warmly? Li Fan asked with a hint of sarcasm. If you weren't fearless, you wouldn't have taken the initiative to come to my place. The general was very casual. He extended his hand towards Li Fan. Mr. Li, please? I feel that you are also quite fearless. Li Fan returned the words to the general. 12 heavenly generals. This is the first time I have heard of them. They seem quite powerful. You will know when you see them. Please. The general seemed to have a good temper. He invited Li Fan again. The general is ordering you. What are you dawdling for? Number 10 shouted at Li Fan. Get up. Li Fan originally wanted to follow them to take a look. But when he heard this kid's words, he was a little unwilling. Number 10, this is none of your business. Hurry up and leave. The discipline here is not very good. Li Fan frowned. Your subordinates should be trained more. My apologies, Mr. Li. My discipline is not strict enough. General, why are you being polite with this criminal? Number 10 was very confused. Can't you just give him a quick death? I told you to find someone to repair the house. Little Lolita glared at her companion. Is there something wrong with your brain? I worked hard to capture Li Fan. Go and repair the house. Number 10 had no choice but to obediently go and find a repairman. Mr. Li, this way please. The general led Li Fan through the corridor, entered the elevator, and arrived at the underground facility of this military building. This underground facility was even larger. There were laboratories everywhere, and no one knew what kind of secret experiments were being carried out. Mr. Li, this is the most authorized laboratory in China. Without a 5-star authorization, no one can enter. Oh, does that mean that I won't be able to get out after seeing it? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. That's not the way to put it. Whether or not we can get out depends on whether Mr. Li cooperates. After taking Li Fan for a spin, the general finally got down to business. What can I do? I'm a warrior. Li Fan smiled. Haven't you guys already started the Holy War? Are you still going to leave a way out for us martial artists? From the moment he heard about the Holy War, Li Fan already knew that this day would come. It was just that he didn't expect this day to come so soon. Fortunately, he had already prepared an escape route for himself. After he had investigated the matters here, he would directly flee to a faraway place and flee to the Li family island. You, of course, have a way out. The general gave him a meaningful look. You're the sword of the emperor, the guardian of China. Why would we lay our hands on you? Li Fan's face turned gloomy. He wasn't sure about this matter, and Wang Luo also guaranteed that no one else knew about it. I won't stand on your side, Li Fan reminded. As a member of the martial arts world, I can't just sit back and watch the crisis of the martial arts world. I know. Besides the sword of the emperor, you also have the identity of a gold medal escort. The general nodded. It's true that we have to eliminate the martial artists, but this is not the task given to us by the top. Our task is to subdue you, little overlord Li Fan. Oh? Isn't it to judge me? You have indeed committed some crimes, but the sword of the emperor is unique, the general said without hesitation. Don't worry, it's absolutely safe here. We can speak freely. The lowly squatted at the door, feeding the little white pig ham sausage. At this time, they were sitting in a very quiet room with no one to disturb them. Lord Wang Luo should have told you that there have always been two factions in China's political system. One is the hawk, and the other is the dove. The one who advocates eradicating the martial arts world is the dove. As for us, the hawk has always advocated cultivating China's armed forces to defend China. This isn't the first time I've been invited by the Chinese government. Li Fan immediately said, once upon a time, the Special Abilities Bureau also recruited me. But needless to say, they still have to rely on me to support them now. Thank you for your contribution to China, and I also apologize for the grievances you've suffered. The general took out a pack of golden leaves. Li Fan glanced at it. It was different from ordinary golden leaves and seemed to be specially provided. The general took out a stick and handed it to Li Fan. I don't smoke. How can a man not smoke? The general chuckled, picked up a stick, and lit it for himself. Smoking is equivalent to relieving stress. Martial artists train their essence, energy, and spirit. Smoking will affect our body and affect our breathing. The power of breathing is the foundation of a martial artist's internal cultivation. Secondhand smoke is more harmful. The general smoked happily. Instead of waiting for others to harm you, it's better to let yourself do it first. What are you thinking? I can't agree with you. Li Fan shook his head. When it came to smoking, he would never give in. All right then. The general did not insist. It's good that you can insist on your own point of view at such a young age. All right, let's go back and talk about our business. What's there to talk about? Didn't you send any a monkey to kill me? That's right. The general did not quibble. He was sent to kill you because if you can't even beat him, then you're not worthy of being the sword of China. What you said makes sense. Should I thank you for your appreciation? You have to understand that it's not me who appreciates you, but Wang Luo, the previous generation's sword of China. The general emphasized, I just want to test if the person he chose is qualified. I never said I'm the Shang Fang sword. Li Fan snorted coldly. Li Fan, the Shang Fang sword is your only way out, and also the only way out of China. The general's face was a little gloomy. If you don't become the Shang Fang sword, then I'm afraid China will be doomed eternally. That exaggerated? Yes, it's that exaggerated. The general was undoubtedly the representative of the Hawks. Betraying your country for glory will not end well. Tell me what you think. Li Fan was not in a hurry to refute. He crossed his arms. If there were benefits, he would try to fight for it. No matter which dynasty it is, China has always had hawks. The same goes for the 12 sacred beasts. They have been protecting China since ancient times. and the Shangfang sword is the best among us. Chapter 1074. Wang Luo is dead. Li Fan still announced the news, Shangfang no longer exists. We know he's dead. The general took out his phone and showed the screen. A golden sign appeared on it. The sign had the 2 words Li Fan printed on it. Li Fan felt a little strange. What is this? Every generation of Shangfang will write down the name of the next generation before they die. It's like a will, you know. I have my considerations. After all, Wang Luo used his last life to exchange for important information. Li Fan was famous for being amenable to coaxing but not coercion. He really fell for Wang Luo's trick. The Shangfang sword is the last guardian of China. The general emphasized, if there's no Shangfang, China's gate will not be stable. Moreover, Shangfang leads the 12 sacred beasts. If you're not here, they will be without a leader. What does it have to do with me? I'm already very disappointed. Don't you want to stop the holy war? The general continued to ask, if you become Shangfang, you can get our support and save the entire pugilistic world. Aren't you guys worried about the pugilistic world? Li Fan could not help but ask. This is a force that is not controlled by the government. After so many years, the pugilistic world has always existed. But look at them, when have they ever achieved anything great? The general laughed. They are only martial artists after all. Not just anyone can sit on it. The general pointed upwards. I'm different from those cowards. To them, the pugilistic world cannot be controlled, so it must be destroyed. But I think the pugilistic world can be controlled. How? Li Fan continued to ask. This is all for later. Let's talk about something more practical. What you need to protect is the pugilistic world. And what I need to protect is our position. No matter what, our interests are the same. Li Fan thought for a moment. This general's words seemed to make sense. His current position was very awkward. The reason why he came here was because he wanted to get lucky and negotiate with the higher-ups. Now, everything was going according to his wishes. But it was a little too smooth, making Li Fan a little uncomfortable. Li Fan knew this very well. I can see that you still have doubts. The general comforted Li Fan. Don't you worry. The title of Shangfang sword is your best protective talisman. Our current goals and interests are the same. The underworld cannot fall. It is a special line of defense for Huaxia. Those idiots of the Dove faction actually thought that he had used a good plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can get rid of the world of martial arts in exchange for friendship with America. What a joke. There's nothing wrong with their way of thinking. The Jianghu is indeed a double-edged sword. Do you know why our Great West is so poor? Do you know why we are still defending it and why we are determined not to cede it? Isn't it because of the rich mineral resources? Of course that's one of the reasons, but it's just one of them. Every inch of Huaxia's land belongs to us. Everyone can fight among themselves, but they can't give it to the foreigners. In addition, these 2 places are our natural lines of defense. Look at the position of the imperial capital. Without them as a buffer, wouldn't the foreign armed forces be able to march straight in and aim for our heart? The general's words did make sense. Moreover, the people of Huaxia loved infighting. However, if there were foreign invaders, no matter how fierce the infighting was, they would first put aside their disputes and unite to defeat the enemy before talking about their own matters. You have cooperated with us a few times. You should know that those foreigners have been eyeing us covetously. Li Fan, let's cooperate. We will naturally offer our sincerity. What sincerity? Li Fan felt that the main point was coming. Quote, the general gave the order. Got it. The lowly pressed a button, and the wall beside them suddenly opened. It turned out that there was a hidden room inside. The room wasn't big, and there was a glass container inside. A naked woman floated quietly inside, as if she was asleep. This woman didn't look old, around 14 or 15 years old. Her body hadn't matured yet. The only difference between her and ordinary people was that there was a pair of horns on her head. These seemed to be dragon horns? Dragon lady? Li Fan was a little shocked. Is that possible? She is indeed a dragon lady. She is older than all of us. The general confirmed Li Fan's thoughts. She is the most special of the 12 sacred beasts. She doesn't have a breeder. She is one of the 12 generals. She is clearly an old lady. Why does she have a lowly face? The lowly looked at this woman and couldn't help but feel jealous. She is really annoying. Is there really a dragon lady? I'm not sure about that. The general shrugged. China is so big that there are all kinds of strange things. The 12 sacred beasts have always been the most mysterious secret. Their existence has always been beyond common sense. This dragon lady's existence is probably the same. With that, the general walked to the control panel and operated a few times. The liquid in the glass container was being drained bit by bit. The dragon lady has been the instructor of the Shang Fang sword for generations. She will guide you on how to become a qualified Shang Fang sword. Moreover, she will protect your life. As long as you are willing, she can even sacrifice her own life for you. When each generation's Shang Fang sword is about to die of old age, she will sleep and wait for the next Shang Fang sword to be born. So, is she waiting for me? That will depend on her. The general said as his gaze fell on the dragon lady. If she doesn't choose you, you won't be able to become an Shang Fang sword. So what you say doesn't count. You don't have to mock me. The general was very calm. I am not the president. How can I have the final say? The general seemed to realize something and quickly added, besides, what the president says doesn't count. The country belongs to the people. The people have the most right to decide. All right, whatever you say. Li Fan didn't want to say anything else. He was now a little expectant. Would this dragon lady wake up? However, was it okay to not wear anything? Even if she didn't have a chest, she was still a young girl's body. It was still very eye-catching. The rest is up to her. The general also stood on the side, waiting for the final result. The two of them seemed to have reached a tacit understanding. Whether their cooperation could succeed or not depended on the dragon lady. Li Fan stood in front of the container. The little lowly was also watching from the side. The little white pig was huffing and puffing. It was unknown if it was begging for food or watching the show. Li Fan stood there for a long time, but the dragon lady didn't seem to have any intention of waking up. Looks like it won't work. The little lowly laughed and picked up the chainsaw. Let me dissect him. Just when Li Fan was a little disappointed, the general suddenly shouted. Chapter 1075. Wait a minute, there's movement. The general stared at the vessel and his expression seemed to be a little excited. Li Fan also stared at the vessel. The dragon girl inside slowly raised her head and then opened her eyes a little. She had a pair of golden pupils. At the moment when their eyes met, Li Fan felt that he had crossed 1,000 years in one glance. It was a kind of aura that made him a little old and sad. Is this the dragon girl's gaze? Did she really live for thousands of years? What did she experience? Imperial concubine Zhou lived for hundreds of years and it was already very scary. To live for more than 1,000 years, it would be even more terrifying. Moreover, is there really a dragon girl in this world? China is really big. The dragon girl opened her eyes completely. A pair of golden pupils stared at Li Fan as if she was observing him. Madam Dragon Girl. The general actually knelt down in front of the dragon girl and lowered his head to ask, "Can he?" The dragon girl's voice penetrated the glass vessel and came out. At the same time, her palm gently pressed on the vessel. The glass seemed to be affected by some kind of force and shattered with a crack. The broken glass did not fall to the ground but strangely floated beside it as if it was fixed in the air. The dragon girl stretched out her hand and the glass automatically avoided her arm and moved to the side. The dragon girl gently tapped on Li Fan's forehead with one finger. Li Fan felt as if his soul was peeled off and presented in front of the dragon girl. He didn't like this. Mr. Yang appeared beside Li Fan, but the general and the little lowly obviously couldn't see him. A spiritual wave spread out and hit the dragon girl's body, bouncing her spiritual power out of Li Fan's body. The dragon girl seemed a little surprised. Strange method, but it's qualified. Qualified? Li Fan looked at the dragon girl floating in front of him. Is it another test? The dragon girl didn't speak. The pool next to her suddenly burst open and the tap water inside gushed out. It swirled in the air and finally rolled onto the dragon girl. When the waves dissipated, Dragoness was already wearing a blue blouse and a black knee-length skirt. This outfit, Li Fan was a little familiar with it because he had often seen it in the television dramas of the Republic of China. It was a student outfit that belonged to a striving young woman. Why was the dragon lady dressed like that? What are you looking at? Noticing that Li Fan was staring at her, Dragon Lady felt a little uncomfortable and asked, "You look a little retro." "Really?" Dragoness was a little surprised. "This is clearly a very trendy new model. Did I sleep for too long?" "You slept for an unusually long time." Li Fan was a little speechless. Another long-lived woman. However, the difference between her and Imperial Concubine Zhou was too big. Imperial Concubine Zhou could be said to be a mature elder sister, while Dragoness's appearance was simply a silly Lolita. "Oh, I'm hungry." The Dragon Lady suddenly spoke. "Quick, prepare some food for Dragon Lady." The general immediately gave the order. Number 12 could only twitch his mouth and order people to prepare food. "See, pig?" Dragon Lady looked at the little white pig on the ground and suddenly revealed a smile. "Long time no see." Li Fan said that this Dragon Lady valued friendship quite a bit. But Dragon Lady turned her head and added, "It looks even more delicious." The little white pig was scared to the point of peeing. It shook its butt and ran away in a panic. Dragon Lady licked her lips, then turned her head and looked at the general very seriously. "You are the leader of this generation, right? How about we roast that pig?" The general was also a person who had experienced great storms, but when he heard this, he was also dumbfounded. This isn't appropriate." "Dragon Lady, what a pity." Dragon Lady sighed softly. "It's quite delicious. Dragon Lady, we have prepared dinner for you. You will definitely be satisfied." The general hurriedly said. At the same time, he muttered in his heart, "Sea pig is a great fighting force. How can it be roasted and eaten?" "Add a roasted suckling pig." Dragon Lady licked her lips and said. Li Fan could not help but want to laugh. Wasn't this the same as what he said? "Dragon Lady, this is your apprentice, the new generation's Shang Fong sword." The general introduced Li Fan. "I know, and only he can wake me up." Dragon Lady nodded. She looked up and down and carefully sized up Li Fan. "He looks very weak, but his mental strength is unique. Li Fan, you will have to learn from Dragon Lady in the future until Dragon Lady feels that you are qualified to be the Shang Fong sword." The general introduced to Li Fan, "When you are qualified to be the Shang Fong sword, Dragon Lady will continue to sleep. If you are not qualified, she will personally kill you and find a new candidate." What the hell? Li Fan was stunned when he heard this. There was such a deceptive setting? Survival of the fittest. Dragon Lady looked at Li Fan. "If you are not strong enough, I will let your soul return to the earth." "Then I really have to thank you." "You're welcome, this is what I should do." Dragon Lady seemed to have lost interest in Li Fan again. "When is the meal?" "Right away, right away." The general hurriedly led the way. As a leader of China, he was willing to lead the way for Dragon Lady. "Dragon Lady, this way please. This is our dining hall." The general brought them all the way to the dining hall of the underground facility. At this time, there was no one else in the dining hall. After all, it was not mealtime. Plate after plate of sumptuous meals were placed on the table. Dragon Lady glanced at them and frowned slightly. Why are they all ordinary dishes? "I want to eat the Manchu Han Imperial Feast." Li Fan felt the general break out in a cold sweat. The Dragon Lady, times have changed. Now, the ingredients of the Manchu Han Imperial Feast are mostly protected animals. What's there to protect about animals? Dragon Lady rolled her eyes. Aren't animals used to be eaten? Why don't you eat humans? Li Fan could not help but mock. Human meat is not delicious. Dragon Lady shook her head. It's sour. Li Fan did not know what to say. You really ate it before? Yes, There was a period of time when not only me, but everyone ate humans. The dragon lady laughed. To you humans, isn't everything food? Tell me, what do you not eat? Even if you don't eat it, I can eat it. I stand at the top of the food chain. Really? Li Fan laughed. We don't eat shit. Dragon lady was eating a piece of streaky pork when she heard this and almost vomited. Bastard. Your personality is too bad. The one with a bad personality is you. Li Fan crossed his arms and leaned on the chair. I am a very obedient student. Chapter 1076. Humph, if you want to become my disciple, you still need to be tested. The dragon girl looked at Li Fan with contempt. You are too lacking. An imperial sword is not something that you can be. With that, the dragon girl stretched out her hand, and a golden sword appeared in her hand, which she slammed on the table. Li Fan was taken aback. This is an imperial sword? Wasn't it placed in Lu Wan's house in Ji City? How did it come here? This Shangfang sword was originally forged from my dragon scales. The dragon girl saw through Li Fan's doubts. As long as I summon it, it will come at any time. What is this, a spell? It's instinct. The dragon girl answered Li Fan's question. I am the last dragon girl in this world, so you have to let me eat and drink. Unbelievable. Li Fan was still somewhat puzzled. What dragon girl? Did they really exist? Although there was a living one in front of him, Li Fan still did not believe it. You continue eating, I will answer for you, Madam Dragon Girl. The general saw that the dragon girl was a little angry, so he explained for Li Fan. In China thousands of years ago, there used to be more holy beasts. And demons? The dragon girl added. Yes, there were demons. At that time in China, demons ran amok, and humans were still very weak. So they worshipped the holy beasts, and asked the holy beasts to protect the safety of humans. The general was very familiar with these legends. At that time, the famous holy beasts were the 4 holy beasts, namely the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and the 12 holy beasts, which are also known as the 12 zodiacs. Later, the holy beasts and humans expelled the demons together, and then humans had evil intentions, and decided to take the power of the holy beasts. Their intentions were discovered by the holy beasts, so the war between humans and the holy beasts began. This kind of story is not new. Li Fan slapped his thigh. It's not the first time I've seen a typical example of burning the bridge after crossing the river. Let me finish. The general knew that Li Fan was mocking him, so he interrupted Li Fan and continued. During that period of time, the holy beasts were constantly being slaughtered. The humans forged them into terrifying weapons and used them. The 4 sacred beasts took some rare sacred beasts and escaped to other places. The 12 sacred beasts didn't manage to escape in time and stayed behind. The general kept looking at the little white pig that was eating at the side. In order to survive, they attached themselves to a human tribe. In order to protect the sacred beast, the tribe fought with other humans and suffered heavy casualties. In the end, they could only go into exile. At this time, a human stood up. He was willing to protect this tribe, so the 12 holy beasts chose Dragon Lady to nurture this human. This is the Shangfang sword. Li Fan was a little confused. That's not right. Didn't Shangfang sword appear in the Han Dynasty? Indeed, it was only during the Han Dynasty that the Shangfang sword officially cooperated with the butler. Before that, it was a unique organization. The general continued to explain. The first generation of the Shangfang sword, under the nurturing of the Dragon Lady, led the 12 sacred beasts and defeated the other tribes. From then on, the Shangfang sword was passed down from generation to generation until today. And every generation of the Shangfang sword would be taught by the Dragon Lady. In other words, you have lived for thousands of years? Li Fan looked at the Dragon Lady in front of him who was eating and drinking to her heart's content. Bullshit. The Dragon Lady curled her lips and spat out a chicken bone, showing a bad expression. The Dragon Lady from back then died long ago. I came later. Can't you be more refined? Li Fan couldn't help but ridicule. Is there a need to be refined when eating? Eating is the most uncivilized behavior, the dragon lady said without hesitation. All animals eat, right? That's true. Li Fan nodded. That's why I said you are an animal. Little worm, I am the most noble existence. I am the dragon lady. Then why don't you turn into a dragon for me to see? Li Fan laughed. Just as Li Fan expected, the dragon lady was silent for a moment. Li Fan, you are too presumptuous. The general couldn't help but reprimand Li Fan. You can't do this. The dragon lady is different from other sacred beasts. She can't revert to her true form. Oh? There's such a saying? Li Fan clearly didn't believe it. At this moment, a roar came from behind. Rascal, how dare you be rude to the dragon lady? Li Fan turned around and saw a 2-meter-tall bald man standing behind him. He had dark skin and a strong body, looking very angry. Brother, who are you? Number 3, don't be presumptuous. The general reprimanded. Only then did Li Fan know the other party's identity. Number 3, according to the 12 zodiac animals, should be Yin-Hu, right? General, this guy is too presumptuous. He actually dares to treat the dragon lady like this. If we don't teach him a lesson, he won't understand. Number 3, are you going to disobey orders? General, I'll come back later to receive my punishment. But now, I want to teach this bastard a lesson. The burly man couldn't control his anger anymore. The general glanced at the little girl sitting beside him, seemingly wanting her to stop. Number 3. A ferocious white tiger leaped over from behind Number 3. It roared and shook the entire room. Li Fan smiled. You really released a tiger. Idiot, this is a sacred beast. Number 3's temper was clearly not good. He reached out and touched the king character on the tiger's head. Yin-Hu released the seal. Number 3 ordered. The white tiger roared, and its body suddenly began to expand. The originally 2-meter-long tiger had grown into a 3-meter-long beast. Its body was covered in silver steel armor, like a steel giant beast. Stop him, Number 12. Got it. So troublesome. The little girl sighed. She kicked the little white pig that was eating at the side. Release the seal. The little white pig grunted. Its body suddenly began to shrink, but its head continued to expand. Not long later, a huge pig head floated up, floating in the air. Its body and limbs had shrunk to a small size, so small that it couldn't be seen. Pig head meat seems to be quite tasty. The dragon lady's words caused the little white pig to panic. Get that tiger out of here. The little girl ordered. Only then did the huge pig head turn around. Its eyes stared at the steel tiger, emitting a blue light. The steel tiger's body also emitted a white light. Then, it flew up, waving its claws in the air. Number 12, whose side are you on? The burly man angrily rebuked. None of your business. Number 12 did as he pleased. Forget it. Let him come. The dragon lady seemed to want to watch the show. Let me check if this kid has the qualifications to become an imperial sword. Chapter 1077. Yes, Madam Dragon Lady. This general completely obeyed Dragon Lady's orders. He immediately ordered Number 12. Stop. Troublesome. The lowly sighed. This little lowly was very cute, but compared to Dragon Lady, she was much inferior. This little dragon lady was said to have lived for thousands of years, but she was no different from a 14 or 15-year-old girl. However, she could eat a little. She had already eaten half of the food on the table. In Tiger, Steel Impact. Baldy Number 3 immediately gave the order after the steel tiger was put down. The steel tiger roared as if it was cheering. Following that, it charged towards Li Fan with an unstoppable force. Li Fan slid out along with the chair. The steel tiger charged out and slammed into the opposite wall. Bang! The wall was directly smashed, but the steel tiger was unscathed. It shook its head and shook off the dust on its body. A large hole was left on the wall, displaying the power of the steel tiger. If it was an ordinary wall, it would be fine if it was smashed. However, the walls here were made of steel, so it was still smashed by the steel tiger. this kind of power, even Li Fan could not help but be moved. The 12 sacred beasts were indeed extraordinary. Yin Tiger, turn around, second attack. Number 3 continued to give the order. The Steel Tiger roared again and again, charging towards Li Fan. Fight Tiger! This time, Li Fan did not dodge. He took a horse stance, and the moment the Steel Tiger charged in front of him, he directly punched out. Ding! Like an old monk striking a bell, a loud sound shook the cafeteria. As for the Steel Tiger, it was sent flying and smashed onto the ground. Don't be discouraged. Readjust your posture, get up and use Tiger Pounce. Number 3 continued to command. The Steel Tiger suddenly leaped and pounced towards Li Fan's head. This Steel Tiger was very huge. When it pounced, the black mass blocked the light. However, Li Fan was not moved at all. He stretched out his hands, grabbed the Steel Tiger's body, and used the momentum to throw it over his shoulder. Bang! The Steel Tiger fell heavily to the ground, creating a crater in the floor. The Iron Tiger fell hard, but he quickly regained his vitality and roared in high spirits. Bring out your spirit! Tiger roar! Number 3 roared furiously. The Steel Tiger opened its mouth and shot out a white beam of light at Li Fan. Interesting. Li Fan laughed. He also extended his right hand, his left hand holding his right wrist. Tiger Cannon! Bang! Zhenqi formed into a cannonball and shot out, colliding with the white light from the other party. A wave of energy rippled out, and the surrounding tables and chairs were all sent flying. Meanwhile, the Loli's pig head used her telekinesis to protect Dragon Lady's table, so Dragon Lady continued to eat without being affected. By the time the power spread out, the ferocious Steel Tiger was sent flying and smashed to the side, letting out a mournful cry. Li Fan, on the other hand, was still standing in the same place. His footsteps did not move. Apparently, he was not affected at all. Only his clothes were stained with some dust. How useless! Dragon Girl sighed. He can't be compared to Yin from back then. Number 3's face turned red. Yin, charge, then Steel Tiger blade. Number 3 hurriedly gave the order. The ferocious Steel Tiger charged over again and suddenly stopped in front of Li Fan. Then, the tail on its back was like a steel whip as it ruthlessly lashed at Li Fan. Spirit Snake Entanglement. Li Fan did not dodge at all. He stretched out his right hand and directly wrapped it around the tiger's tail, forcefully locking it in place. Speaking of which, I am also hungry. Can you let me eat something first? As Li Fan spoke, he pulled up the tiger's tail and threw it out once again. The ferocious Steel Tiger turned around in the air. Its 4 limbs stepped on the wall and stood on it, looking at Li Fan. What a tough one! Li Fan could not help but praise. It really is like a tiger forged from steel. Dragon Girl also lost interest. The strength test is almost over. Li Fan commented. She looked at the delicacies on the table and thought for a long time. Finally, she pushed the remaining half of the bun over and placed it in front of Li Fan. Seemingly hesitant, she took out 2 more bun and left the rest for Li Fan. Li Fan was speechless. Can you not be so stingy? General, can you give me a bowl of plain noodles? Prepare it for Major Li. The general took out his walkie-talkie and ordered his guards. Because Dragon Girl had spoken, Number 3 could only obediently stand to the side and retract the power of the ferocious Steel Tiger. Major? Li Fan was a little puzzled. If it's an imperial sword, there will be a military rank. The general reminded Li Fan. Before becoming an official imperial sword, you will have the status of major. If you obtain the official qualifications, you will be promoted to senior colonel. It seemed like he would not be able to become a general. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Dragon Girl continued to eat her food as if she did not care about any of this. Number 3, quickly come and apologize to Major Li. General, please forgive me for refusing. Number 3 put his hands behind his back and stood there with his chest out like a standard soldier. I am a lieutenant colonel. My rank is higher than his. I will not apologize to him. Furthermore, he is an eyesore. You are one of the 12 sacred beasts. You have to accept the leadership of the imperial sword. The general reminded him, "Don't make me say it again. Go back and rest." Yes. Number 3 looked at Li Fan with hatred and then went out. It seems like your popularity is very low. Dragon Girl said to Li Fan while gnawing on a chicken leg, "I have one more thing to teach you. I don't need a bald man to like me." Li Fan rejected Dragon Girl's good intention. "As for the 12 sacred beasts, it doesn't matter if they are willing to listen to me." "You want to do it alone?" Dragon Girl asked. The corner of Li Fan's mouth raised into a smile. "If they don't listen to me, I will just kill them." What Li Fan said was not a joke. After fusing with the heart demon, sometimes his thoughts were very dark. Even Dragon Girl was slightly shocked when she heard it. "I thought you were a very righteous person." Dragon Girl looked at Li Fan a few more times. "Am I not?" Li Fan asked. "If that was the case, I would not be sitting here." If it was not to protect the pugilistic world, Li Fan would not be sitting here asking a tiger for its skin. He could just take his belongings and hide in the Li family island. No one could control him. However, Li Fan had a strong sense of responsibility. He probably could not let go of this matter in the pugilistic world. Whether it is love or not, it has nothing to do with me. As long as you do what I ask you to do, it will be fine. This Dragon Girl obviously looked like a lowly, but she liked to speak like an old man. "Alright, then tell me, what do I need to do?" "Let's eat first. The noodles seem to be good. Give it to your master." Chapter 1078. Dragon Girl snatched and ate Li Fan's Yangchun noodles. In the end, Li Fan was practically starving as he followed Dragon Girl to train in the training room. After all, it was a base that the government paid for. An underground training room was at least as big as a stadium. This place was usually used by the 12 sacred beasts to train and no one else used it. At this moment, Lolita was bored to death sitting in a corner of the training room, teasing her pig. Li Fan was following Dragon Girl and undergoing a special training. Sigh, this generation's Shangfang sword is too useless. Dragon Girl sat on the cabinet at the side, eating buns while looking at Li Fan and sighing. "How is it useless?" Li Fan was a little uncomfortable. "I am China's top escort with the strength of a grandmaster. How can I not enter your eyes? If you are not convinced, come down and let's spar." "I am not a combat type hero." Dragon Girl swung her legs and said, "Furthermore, after transforming into a human, my strength has greatly decreased. I can't even unleash 1,000th of my strength." "Are you kidding? How is it a joke?" Dragon Girl said very seriously, "Do you think that after a dragon transforms into a human, their strength can still be the same? Think about it, how huge a dragon's body is. Only such a thick and sturdy body can store explosive power. Furthermore, a human body is too weak. After transforming into a human, a large portion of my strength naturally disappeared. Furthermore, Dragon Girl has a curse on her body. Once she transforms into a human, she will never be able to transform back." "Curse?" "Yes, the curse of the 4 sacred beasts." Dragon Girl smiled. "Back then, the 4 sacred beasts brought other sacred beasts and wanted to kill all humans for revenge. It was my ancestor, along with the 12 sacred beasts, that killed all the sacred beasts with the help of the Shangfang sword. Before the 4 sacred beasts died, they placed this curse so that my bloodline's Dragon Girl would never be able to return to her dragon form. She would have to live in this world as a human." "It's good to be a human." Li Fan comforted, "It's the golden ratio. If you don't want to be a dragon, then so be it. Whatever, as long as I can eat delicious food." As Dragoness spoke, she instructed the little lowly, Go, bring me 2 more of that. Or something, chicken drumsticks." "Orleans," the little lowly muttered. "Yes, Orleans. Give me 2, forget it, give me 2 baskets." "Hey, why are you looking at me like that? I haven't eaten in years. Can't I be hungry?" The little lowly was now completely treated as an errand girl. She was very helpless, but the Dragon Lady's orders were no different from an imperial edict. As one of the 12 sacred beasts, she obediently went to get food for Dragon Lady. Do you see that? This is the authority of the Dragon Lady. The dragon lady said with a smile. Is your power to get people to help you carry chicken legs? Of course, why not? The dragon lady emphasized, letting others satisfy my needs is the embodiment of authority. Say, don't you have a name? I've long since forgotten. Just call me Dragon Lady. The dragon lady licked her fingers. Don't ever call me teacher. I don't have such a useless disciple like you. So, what's so useless about me? Li Fan's anger flared up again. Little dragon lady, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Compared to the previous swords, you're too weak. You don't believe me? Why don't you try waving the sword? The dragon lady said as she threw the sword in front of Li Fan. The sword floated in front of Li Fan, floating up and down, as if it was quietly waiting for him. Don't look down on me. Li Fan sneered. He walked to the front and grabbed the sword, preparing to unsheath it. But for some reason, the sword seemed to be locked. Li Fan pulled, but he couldn't pull it out. What the hell? Li Fan was taken aback as he carefully looked at the sword. Although he knew that the sword was rejecting him, it shouldn't be to this extent, right? What's going on? Li Fan pulled with force, but the sword was still in the scabbard, not moving at all. I told you that you're useless. What kind of person did Wang Luo find? You can't even pull out the sword. The dragon lady took the drumstick that the lowly handed to her and ate it while mocking him. Umph! Li Fan snorted as the true qi in his body filled his entire body. At the same time, the golden flying lion goddess appeared in the air before descending and merging into Li Fan's body. The golden flying lion armor draped over Li Fan's body, strengthening him. Come out! Li Fan roared and pulled out the sword again. The sword still didn't move and was still resisting Li Fan. Anger rose in his heart. Looking at the dragon lady's mocking face, Li Fan couldn't help but feel angry. Isn't it just a broken sword? Can I subdue it? His eyes burst out with light as all the pores on his body closed. The true qi in his body erupted, forming a powerful force. Li Fan's skin turned scarlet red as a golden halo formed behind him. Clang! The sword let out a sorrowful cry as it was pulled out of the scabbard by Li Fan. The dragon lady's eyebrows twitched. A mere sword actually dares to not obey me? Li Fan roared angrily. He used his 5 fingers and with a bang, he crushed the dragon-shaped scabbard of the sword, revealing the golden sword body inside. The sword kept trembling in Li Fan's hand, as though it was afraid and wanted to escape from Li Fan's hand. Li Fan's unparalleled mode could only be activated for about 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, the sword broke free from Li Fan's hand and flew to the dragon lady's side. And the scattered pieces of the scabbard reformed around the sword. A complete Shang Fang sword floated there, as though proving its strength. What the hell? Li Fan was dumbfounded. What the hell? He used all his strength and still couldn't subdue a sword? See, it's not working. The dragon lady put away her shocked expression and changed it to a sneer. Obediently accept my teachings. Do you understand? Got it. Li Fan lowered his head while the dragon lady heaved a sigh of relief. This Li Fan is a bit powerful. Just now, she used her unique water ability to lock the sword. Who would have thought that it would still be pulled out by Li Fan? This guy seems like he's really not ordinary. Shang Fang sword has an ability called Return Sword. The dragon lady pretended to be calm and then quickly changed the topic. Because this sword is entrusted with the power of every generation, the user can temporarily borrow this power. And if the Shang Fang sword doesn't accept you, there's no way to borrow it. Li Fan clearly remembered Wang Luo's appearance when she used Return Sword. He could not forget it. You have to learn how to use the Shang Fang sword first. Come, practice swinging the sword 100 times. With that, the dragon lady flicked the Shang Fang sword in front of Li Fan. Chapter 1079. Li Fan held the Shang Fang sword together with its scabbard. This sword was very heavy in his hand. Li Fan felt as if he was holding an iron tower. Swing it 100 times? Li Fan's body was filled with true qi as he easily lifted the sword. You are not allowed to use true qi. The dragon girl immediately reprimanded, If you use true qi, you will lose the meaning of training. Li Fan had no choice but to disperse the true qi in his body. As soon as the true qi dispersed, the weight of the sword also pressed down. Li Fan's hand was a little unable to hold it. His arm was extremely heavy. According to the dragon girl, this sword was made from her scales. Just how heavy was this woman's scales? Young man, practice well. Although you are not very useful, you can always improve a little. He lifted the sword bit by bit, and the muscles on his body seemed to be wailing. If it wasn't for the fact that Li Fan had trained his muscles well and that some true qi had already grown in his flesh, he really wouldn't be able to lift this sword. This sword was too heavy, like a small mountain. Li Fan spent a lot of effort to lift the sword above his head. If he was not careful, the sword might fall and split him into two halves. But since it was training, he would train to the end. Li Fan also held his breath. Fuck, I can't let this gluttonous dragon girl look down on me. Li Fan controlled his strength as his muscles trembled. He slowly swung the sword down and then stopped in front of him. In the end, Li Fan really couldn't hold it anymore. The sword flew out of his hand and slashed into the ground. And his arm was still trembling uncontrollably. I already said that you are useless. Look, you can't even swing it once. The dragon girl was eating and drinking while mocking him. Li Fan didn't want to argue. He used his true qi to adjust his body, allowing his muscles to recover faster. This kind of adjustment method could be considered as cheating. How's your recovery? Not bad. Li Fan rubbed his shoulders. I think it would be better if I could have a full meal before practicing. Then go ahead and eat. Who stopped you from eating? You obviously stole my food and ate it, okay? Li Fan glared at her. Really? The dragon girl was puzzled. No, there's so much food here. You can eat as much as you want. Then give me a drumstick. Li Fan glanced at the New Orleans drumsticks in the basket next to him. How can this be? Dragoness covered the basket and looked warily at Li Fan. This is my food, I can't waste it. What does giving me one have to do with you wasting it? Li Fan could not help but ask. It's a big deal. The dragon lady emphasized, These are all offerings to me. Of course, it would be a waste to give them to others. I'm drunk. Li Fan really had no choice but to continue training in silence. At this time, Lolita came over and raised a drumstick in her hand. For me. That's right, uncle. Lolita looked as if she had seen through the world of mortals. It was originally for pigs. Seeing that you're too hungry, you eat it. Li Fan angrily took the drumstick. If he was not too hungry, he would not accept this humiliating drumstick. Li Fan wolfed down the drumstick. In just a few bites, he finished the drumstick. Damn, I've never eaten such a delicious drumstick. I'm too hungry. Li Fan finished the drumstick. When he wiped his hands, he noticed that the dragon girl was looking at him angrily as if he just stole her food. Fuck, this woman. Li Fan shook his head. He wiped his hands and continued to train. Becoming an imperial sword was the only way for him to stay in Huaxia. The general had already gone to greet the school. Li Fan did not even need to take credits. He was a day student and unconditionally retained his student status. After 4 years, he would automatically graduate. With the government backing him, it felt different. Li Fan was angry again. During this period of time, the pugilistic world was in turmoil. Li Fan had been busy training in the military. Not bad. You've already swung it 20 times today. Dragon Maiden looked at the panting Li Fan and gave him a rare compliment as she ate the fried chicken steak. Do you only know how to eat every day? Li Fan was half naked with the overlord subduing the tiger painting floating on his back. He was also sweating profusely. He glanced at the dragon lady beside him and could not help but mock her. I'm busy training you. The dragon lady's petite figure would not gain weight no matter how much she ate, let alone grow taller. You won't grow taller if you only eat. Bastard. She would not get angry no matter how he mocked her. But today, Li Fan's words angered her. I'm still in my childhood. I haven't even grown yet. You're still in your childhood? How old are you? Over 1,000 years old. Over 1,000 years old in childhood? Are you kidding me? Do you know how long we dragons live? The dragon lady rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Living for 10 or 20,000 years is not a problem. Li Fan raised his sword and asked, "Aren't you bored after living for so long?" "I'm bored. That's why I sleep most of the time. When I wake up, I'm in charge of training you idiots. As for you, you're the stupidest person I've ever met. How many days did Wang Luo take to swing his sword 100 times? Let me think. When his master threw him to me, he was only a little older than you. This kid is quite talented. The Shang Fang sword accepted him immediately, so he doesn't need this kind of special training." "Fuck me," Li Fan said. "This is really unfair. Alright, don't think about other people. Train your sword well." The dragon lady seemed to have finally eaten her fill and yawned. "After 10 days, if you still don't reach the standard, I'll give up on you." She lay on the cushion at the side and began to be lazy. "After all, I'm quite sleepy." This unscrupulous dragon girl. Did she resurrect just to watch him swing his sword while eating delicious food? There are still 10 days left. If he practiced according to his routine, it would be impossible for him to reach 100 swords. Li Fan kept feeling that he still has something that he has not grasped. Although he gained some strength from swinging the sword like this, compared to his powerful true qi, it's just a drop in the bucket. The power of a human's body is limited, but the power of true qi is limitless. Li Fan felt that in terms of muscles, he has already reached a limit. There must be another way, otherwise, the dragon lady would not have set such a short time. The dragon lady leaned on the cushion and slept soundly. Sleeping after eating, she should not be the dragon lady, she should be the pig queen. Li Fan cursed before sitting down cross-legged. He stared at the Shang Fang sword in front of him and thought of a countermeasure. Chapter 1080. Was this sword really something that could be lifted just by training one's strength? Seeing Li Fan sitting there in deep thought, Dragon Lady secretly wiped away her cold sweat. Unbelievable. It was clearly a trap, but he actually lifted it 20 times? If he continues to train like this, perhaps he will be able to train it 100 times sooner or later, right? Thus, Dragon Lady quickly set a 10-day deadline so that there would not be any problems. Seeing Li Fan sitting there cross-legged, she secretly laughed in her heart. This kid, is he really going to give up? Li Fan sat cross-legged on the ground, looking at the Shang Fang sword in front of him. A sword that looked simple and unadorned. Without any power, it did not even have a bit of luster. What is the difference between Wang Luo and me? Why can Wang Luo easily use it, but I can't? Li Fan seemed to have thought of something. Mental power? Old Yang, come out. Li Fan silently called out in his heart, and a figure sat beside him. Mr. Yang was still wearing a black gentleman's suit today, looking at Li Fan with some dissatisfaction in his eyes. Old Yang? What kind of address is that? What an intimate address. Li Fan was using his mind to speak. He knew that Dragon Lady could not hear or see him. Are you worried about this sword? Mr. Yang seemed to know what Li Fan was worried about. I can indeed help you, but is this what you really want? You seem a bit off today. Li Fan raised his eyebrows. You never spoke like this in the past. You always advised me to follow my heart. I used to be the darkest side of your heart, but now that you and I have fused, I no longer need to remind you to follow your heart. Now, my mission is to ensure that you can live. Don't worry, as long as I understand this sword, I can live well. Li Fan stared at the Shang Fang sword in front of him. Don't you already have the answer in your heart? Yes, that's why I need your help. Li Fan gently tapped the sword with his finger. Let me communicate with it spiritually, Old Yang. Sure, but this sword has a very strong spiritual force. You have to be careful. Mr. Yang reminded Li Fan again, you have to be more careful in the future. I don't have the energy to remind you anymore. My remaining phantom has reached its limit. What do you mean by that? You should understand. Mr. Yang looked at Li Fan, and there was a little expectation in his eyes. I am indeed Mr. Yang. I am a little spiritual force that he left in your brain. I see potential in you. I hope you can inherit my will and truly change this world. However, you are getting stronger and stronger, while I am getting weaker and weaker. Now, it's time for me to leave. Your spiritual power still exists in a unique form. Think about it carefully. What form should it exist in? As he spoke, Mr. Yang pulled Li Fan's hand and pressed it on the scabbard. Li Fan, you must live on. Mr. Yang's figure slowly dissipated, and a white light flashed in front of Li Fan. In the blink of an eye, he entered into an illusory world. This world was like a courtroom. Under Li Fan's feet was a huge circular stone brick space with a dragon-shaped pattern imprinted on it, and around it stood statues one after another. Each statue was 100 meters tall, towering into the clouds, reaching straight into the clouds. Each statue was holding a huge sword in their hand. They were majestic and insufferably arrogant. One of the statues attracted Li Fan's attention. Isn't that Wang Luo? It seems that all the statues here were once the users of the Shangfang sword. Mortal, why are you here? A deep voice rang out, and it pierced Li Fan's eardrums. Everyone, I'm here to negotiate. Li Fan raised his voice and said to these statues. Negotiate? What qualifications do you have? Everyone, you guys are too impatient. A smile hung on Li Fan's face. He crossed his arms and stood in the middle of these statues without any pressure. I am your successor. It was this guy who chose me. But say something. Li Fan pointed at Wang Luo. Li Fan, this is the sacred sword tomb. It is not a place where you can be impudent. Yeah, you are speaking very seriously today. Li Fan looked at him in shock. You became serious after you died? Enough. Get out of this place. You are not welcome here. Wang Luo is a stupid guy. He actually chose you as his successor. We will not acknowledge you. Get out. The surrounding roars got louder and louder, but Li Fan smiled instead. Looks like my estimation was right. Why can't I use the Shangfang sword is because of you ghosts. That's right. The power of this sword belongs to us. We will not share any with you. Do you understand? That's right. With you guys here, I can't use this sword. Li Fan moved his body. That's why I came in to kill you guys. What did you say? Arrogant human. What, is your hearing not working after you died? Li Fan sneered. Cut the crap. Today, I want to see who dares to stop me. If God blocks me, I will kill God. If Buddha blocks me, I will kill Buddha. Stupid. This is the sword tomb, a spiritual world. What are you going to use to fight against us? These heroic spirits of the Shangfang sword were all disdainful. Old Yang is dead, but he still left me a bit of inheritance. Li Fan said and stretched out his right hand. A black sword slowly condensed in front of him and was held in his hand. My spiritual power and true qi cannot be used together. Therefore, my spiritual power is divided. Usually, it appears in Mr. Yang's appearance, but today, I will define it as the extraordinary sword. With that, Li Fan stretched out his hand and flicked the extraordinary sword. This is a spiritual world. If his spiritual power is strong enough, he can destroy these bastards. The extraordinary sword trembled from the flick. What are you doing, bastard? The reprimanding voice of the heroic spirits rang out, and a black thunderbolt shot out from Li Fan's sword and struck a heroic spirit statue. Rumble! The statue immediately collapsed, and the stones kept falling into the endless abyss. Stop, stop! You're crazy! Stop, you idiot! The heroic spirits roared angrily. There are 19 more. Li Fan counted the statues. Don't worry, everyone has a share. Let's take it slow. With that, Li Fan flicked out another thunderbolt and smashed another heroic spirit statue. What are you doing? These are the heroic spirits that protected China. A heroic spirit roared. Chapter 1081. You are not wrong. Li Fan nods his head, but you guys are too arrogant and arrogant. That is why you guys have brought destruction. As he speaks, he does not forget to flick the black sword once again. Lightning appears and shatters another 2 heroic spirit statues. Enough, enough. A majestic voice rings out. A man's figure suddenly descends from the sky and lands in front of Li Fan. His appearance was exactly the same as that of the largest statue of the heroic spirit. Enough, Li Fan, stop. Looking at the man wearing only animal skin in front of him, Li Fan understood. You are the first generation's imperial sword? The beast skin man is filled with heroism. You should be done messing around, Li Fan. I'm messing around? Li Fan is unhappy. What a joke. I am working hard for China and you guys are just lying here watching the show. You even want to hinder me and now you are saying that I am messing around? Wanting to become an imperial sword is not an easy thing to do. The ones who want me to become an imperial sword are you guys. The ones who do not want me to be an imperial sword are you guys? Li Fan is so angry that he laughs. Let's just all play together. Come, let me give you guys a thunderbolt. Let's stop here. We acknowledge you. The first generation heroic spirit admits defeat. You win. Is this true? I am the first generation heroic spirit. My words are as good as gold. The first generation heroic spirit says loudly, I swear on my name. If I am lying, I will die a horrible death. Aren't you already dead? Then let my body and soul be destroyed, okay? Alright, I will believe you for now. Only then is Li Fan satisfied. Just a sword and he dares to fight with me. If I do not subdue this sword, how am I going to survive in Jianghu? Please leave. The first generation heroic spirit trembles when he sees Li Fan. Alright, let's have a happy cooperation. Happy cooperation? Li Fan happily left. Exceptional talent finally released a breath of relief. He then turned around and looked at Wang Luo's statue. I finally know why you chose such a person. Only he can do it. Wang Luo finally spoke. Right now, China is filled with danger. Only someone like him can become the supreme sword of this generation. When he dies, I don't want him to come to the martyr's palace. That's not for us to decide. First generation, let's just wait and see. The remaining time no longer belongs to us. You're right. We're just the remnants of souls. The hero spirits all retreated and Li Fan returned to the outside. When he opened his eyes, he found Dragon Lady sitting across from him, devouring a plate of dumplings with all her might. This foodie, Li Fan couldn't help but want to complain. He had been in the sword tomb for a long time, but she was still eating. Was her stomach a bottomless pit? Is it delicious? Li Fan asked. It's delicious. It's pickled cabbage and meat. Dragon Lady smiled sweetly. I've never eaten this flavor before. It's also very satisfying to occasionally find you. Li Fan didn't know what to say. I'm full now. Let's talk business. What business? Are you going to treat me to dinner? Li Fan didn't say much and only pulled out his supreme sword. The dragoness spat out the food in her mouth, while Li Fan held the Shangfang sword and casually brandished it. What? Dragon Lady couldn't believe it. How did you do it? I just did it. Li Fan held the supreme sword in his hand and swung it. A beautiful sword energy swept out and cut the wooden dolls beside him into two. You really did it? What? You don't want me to do it? Li Fan held the Shangfang sword and looked at Dragon Girl. You've exceeded my expectations, Li Fan. Dragon Lady finally put down the chopsticks in her hand and looked at Li Fan seriously. I didn't expect you to do so well. She wiped her hands and took out a pure gold engraved plate with a sword carved on it. This is the symbol of the Supreme Sword. From today onwards, you are the official Supreme Sword. I will follow you for 2 years to test your character. If your character is up to standard, then I will officially recognize your identity. Ah? My character is not bad at all. Li Fan patted his chest without hesitation. It's full of good quality. All talk and no practice. Dragon Lady curled her lips. In these 2 years, perform well. I will observe you. Why? Are we going to be inseparable? Of course. Otherwise, how can it be called observation? All right, then do you want to observe me when I pee? What about shit? Pooey pooey pooey. How can you be so filthy? Dragon Lady spat at Li Fan. Your character really needs to be trained. You're welcome to train me. Li Fan laughed in his heart. When the time comes, who knows who will be the one training who? From today onwards, I will leave this place. Dragon Lady looked around. What a pity. There are a lot of delicious food here. From today onwards, you will be the one to raise me. Huh? Li Fan was dumbfounded. Why am I the one raising you? This is your sacred responsibility and obligation. Dragon Lady patted Li Fan's shoulder happily. Young man, do your best. This Dragon Lady is relying on you. Your appetite. I can't afford to raise you. It's not like I can eat a lot. It's just that my appetite is a little bigger than the average person. Dragon Lady emphasized. Is this a little? Li Fan pointed at the trash can at the side. It was filled with the leftover chicken bones of Dragon Lady. This woman loved to eat fried chicken. It was not a problem for her to eat hundreds of them a day. Major Li, you don't have to worry about this. Just as Li Fan was complaining about being poor, the general walked in with a document in his hand. Your procedures have been completed. You are now an official major. Moreover, you will receive a subsidy of 100,000 yuan from the state every month. 100,000 yuan. Li Fan said. As a civil servant, this was quite a high salary. This caused Li Fan to feel a little inflated. That means I am also someone who receives public subsidies? Of course, we all have to do our best for the country. The general looked at Li Fan with a trusting gaze. But this 100,000 yuan is not even enough for someone to eat. Cough cough. Madam Dragon Lady's subsidy is also 100,000 yuan every month. It will be transferred to your account as well. That's more like it. Li Fan was satisfied. 200,000 yuan a month. That should be enough for him to eat. Then I will go back with you? But I live in a dormitory in G University. What should I do? Li Fan started to worry. However, the general immediately added, Don't worry, everything has been arranged. A new student dormitory. Chapter 1082. The environment here is not bad. After returning to G University, Dragon Lady examined the interior of the dormitory. It's barely livable. It's not bad, don't be picky. Li Fan rolled his eyes at this guy. This is for international students to live. We ordinary students don't even have the qualifications to live here. What is an international student? Dragon Lady didn't understand these new terms. There were international students in the Republic of China, right? Oh, I think I remember. They were foreign students, right? Yes, you're not that stupid. Go to hell, I'm your mentor, show me some respect. Dragon Lady lay down on the sofa beside her and stretched her body. Li Fan wasn't unaccustomed to having a little lowly living in the house. After all, he was used to living with Murong. But since it's a place for us Chinese, why is it so nice to foreigners? Shouldn't we let our countrymen live here first? It's weird, who knows why? Li Fan shrugged. But you're the boss. If not for you, I wouldn't be qualified to live in this dormitory. Why is there nothing in the fridge? Dragon Lady opened the fridge and was disappointed. Probably not prepared yet? Alright, I'll go downstairs and buy you something delicious. How about that? Li Fan suddenly had an idea. I found your character is not bad. Dragon Lady clapped her hands happily. Then stay at home and don't move. If you're bored, watch TV. Li Fan turned on the TV and placed the remote in front of Dragon Lady. This is to change the channel, and this is to adjust the volume. Li Fan guided her. Remember to change the channel if there's something you don't like. TV? Change the channel? Dragon Lady studied the TV with great interest and was surprised and excited to see the figure in it. There's someone in here. Oh my God, it can move. It can even talk. Li Fan said that it was like a country bumpkin. Imperial concubine Zhou was much better than her. She wasn't surprised to see something new and was naturally calm. Okay, I'll go downstairs to buy you some food. There was a supermarket downstairs. Li Fan went downstairs and bought a lot of things before returning. When he returned home, he saw Dragoness sitting on the sofa barefooted, watching a Korean drama. The clothes they are wearing are so beautiful. Dragoness watched with great interest. Are there any female clothes inside? I want to wear them too. You'll have to go to Korea to help you buy it. The ones in China are all counterfeits. Korean TV dramas have specialized clothing factories to support them, and this is much better than China. Their urban drama costumes were always a highlight. Although Lee Fan didn't watch many Korean dramas, he quite liked the male leads' costumes. You still have to go abroad to buy it? No need to go through so much trouble. Dragon Lady twirled her fingers a few times, and her clothes began to change slowly. Soon, she became the Korean dress of the female lead in the TV series. What kind of spell is this? Can you teach me? I can't teach you. You're not a dragon girl. Dragon Lady curled her lips. This is the innate water ability that we dragon ladies are born with. Can't they be taught? Of course not. Try this. Lee Fan tore open a bag of chips and stuffed it into Dragon Lady's hands. What is this? It's weird. Can it be eaten? Dragon Lady tasted a piece and her eyes lit up. This thing is delicious. Can you teach it? I really can't teach this. Seeing that Lee Fan wanted to take back the chips, Dragon Lady was a little anxious. I'm a puppy if I lie. To the dragon race, puppies were the lowest level of animals. Since she said that, she shouldn't be lying to him. You're a human. Humans can only learn human moves. Dragon Lady looked at the chips that Lee Fan took back. She drooled as she explained, for example, true energy, mental strength, and so on. Between species, because of the differences in evolution, there are naturally differences in characteristics. For example, if you let an ant ask a human how to blow away so many ants with one breath, how would you expect the human to explain? This is the difference in characteristics, understand? I understand what you're saying, but all things are made up of energy. Lee Fan had always believed in his theory of energy. If an ant works hard to cultivate, it might be able to have the strength of a human. Ridiculous. How is that possible? Can you give me the chips first? Lee Fan stuffed the chips back into her hands and wiped the saliva off her face. Didn't humans also break through their limits? Lee Fan emphasized. For example, those Saint Rank experts with the strength of 100 dragons. Aren't their strength beyond ordinary people? Saint Rank is the limit of ordinary people. Dragon Lady reminded Lee Fan. Moreover, the so-called strength of 100 dragons is a joke. It's not even the strength of a dragon. You should continue eating the chips. Lee Fan was a little regretful. It seemed that he could not learn the ability to change clothes. Otherwise, he could save a lot of money. Every time the alien changes its bones, it would ruin the clothes. This was really troublesome. I'll make something delicious for you. Do you like braised pork ribs, pickled vegetables, or chicken stewed with mushrooms? You're making me so many dishes. No. It's just one flavor. Which one do you like? Whatever. I'm not picky about food. Got it. Lee Fan nodded, then went to boil water to cook noodles for Dragon Girl. He cooked a large pot of instant noodles, then scooped a basin and handed it to Dragon Lady. What is this? Yongchun noodles? You're fooling me. Try it first. If it's not delicious, Dragon Lady took a bite and her eyes lit up. Then, she hugged the basin and started eating the instant noodles in big mouthfuls. Soon, she finished the basin of noodles. She even finished the noodle soup in one go and patted her stomach in satisfaction. Delicious, so delicious. How can there be such delicious noodles? It's delicious, right? Lee Fan winked at Dragon Lady. I'll let you eat this every day from now on, okay? Good. My good disciple, I was wrong about you. So you're a good person. Of course. This noodles is very expensive. I'm starting to pay out of my own pocket to support you. Lee Fan's face was filled with emotion. Everything is for you, my Lord Dragon Lady. Good. Hurry up and prepare more. I want to eat this every day from now on. Don't worry about money. If it's not enough, just ask the general. How can I let the country worry about such a small matter? I want to take the initiative to share the country's worries. Leave your food to me. Although this kind of instant noodles is very expensive, you can eat as much as you want. Don't stand on ceremony. You can eat as much as you want. You're so kind. Chapter 1083. The Dragon Lady now ate instant noodles for 3 meals a day. No, 13 meals a day. If the general were to find out, he would probably scold Li Fan to death. After all, it was all junk food. Not just instant noodles, but also potato chips, ham sausages, cola, etc. He ate them all. You are going to class? Dragon Lady saw Li Fan change into sportswear and was about to go out. She immediately grabbed a bag of potato chips and was about to follow Li Fan out. Yes, class. You can wait for me in the condominium. Looking at Dragon Lady, who was wearing cartoon pajamas, Li Fan felt that it was better to let her stay behind. I don't want to. I've said it before. I'll stay by your side for the next 2 years. Dragon Lady reminded Li Fan, don't forget. This is a university. Li Fan complained incessantly, you're not old enough. Nonsense, I studied in Beijing Normal University in my early years. I am someone who received advanced education. Dragon Lady said proudly, don't look down on me. Damn, this sister studied in Peking University? But it will be troublesome to bring you there. You actually think I am troublesome? How many people want to worship this Dragon Lady as their master? Do you know? What can you teach me? Li Fan was so angry that he rolled his eyes. She couldn't even teach her water magic. She just followed him to eat and drink. What mentor? She made it sound so good. Sky Thunder Sword. Dragon Lady looked strangely at Li Fan. Why didn't Wang Luo tell you about it? Sky Thunder Sword? There is such a thing? He didn't tell me about it. Oh, right. Dragon Lady thought of something. This kid only knows mental power, so he can't learn Sky Thunder Sword. She was pleased with herself. With her hands behind her back, she said proudly, Sky Thunder Sword is a sword technique created by us Dragon Lady. It is passed down to every generation of swordsmen so that they can use it to protect China. Damn, Wang Luo didn't tell me about it. What a scam. Is this sword technique powerful? See for yourself. The Dragon Lady suddenly opened her mouth and spat out a golden sword. The sword was covered in lightning. Then, the Dragon Lady spat it out and the sword immediately flew out, piercing through the wall of the apartment. Not only that, but even the walls of the opposite building were pierced through. In the end, it pierced through 8 buildings in a row before escaping into the void. This is Kung Fu? Li Fan was a little dumbfounded. This is the Heavenly Thunder Sword. The Dragon Lady explained, humans can only cultivate true qi, so the Dragon Lady researched this technique, condensing true qi in the air and transforming it into a small sword. The moment he spat it out, it turned into a real sword and shot out. This damage was much stronger than the guns and cannons of those foreigners. The Shangfang sword of the 3rd generation had once killed a true dragon with this move. This is a little unreal. Li Fan understood what the Dragon Lady meant, but spitting out swords from her mouth could be considered a cultivator's ability. However, in the novels, the swords that cultivators spat out were all real treasured swords. But what the Dragon Lady spat out was an energy sword condensed from true qi. It was a pity that he did not have the talent to turn nothing into reality. If he mastered this ability, he would be able to spit out swords, and the lethality would probably be even stronger. Li Fan was still very excited. If he learned the Heavenly Thunder Sword, he would have another trump card other than God slaying. Do you want to learn it? I do, but I've already learned it. After Li Fan's cultivation and realm increased, the law embodiment of heaven and earth had already fused into his bones. The moment the Dragon Lady used it, he had already learned most of it. Nonsense, this is a divine art. How could you have learned it? The Dragon Lady did not believe him at all. She ate her potato chips while ridiculing Li Fan. Men should not brag, it will make them look cheap. Is that so? As Li Fan spoke, he opened his mouth and spat out a lightning sword. It instantly pierced through the window and into the sky, scattering the clouds in the sky. No, that's impossible. The dragon lady's mouth was agape, and even the potato chips fell to the ground. This heavenly thunder sword was a secret technique created by the dragon lady. The first generation was the most talented apprentice, but it took him 10 years to learn it. This leaf fan actually learned it at a glance? All right, are there any other moves you want to teach me? Li Fan asked. There's still the dragon sword technique. The dragon lady was flustered and exasperated. Practice it and see. I don't want to. The dragon lady refused. I'll let you learn it at a glance. I won't let you see it. I'll teach you 2 years later. Too stingy. Li Fan suggested, if you teach me, I'll give you a box of instant noodles every day. No. Faced with such a strong temptation, the dragon lady actually resisted. I have to teach you 2 years later, otherwise, you won't be obedient. All right, but you still have to stay at home. No, I want to go to class with you. Absolutely not. All right, stay here obediently. There are a lot of snacks in the box, enough for you to eat. I'll be back after class. Remember not to run around. All right. The dragon lady was very disappointed as she curled up on the sofa. Be obedient. I'm going out now. I'll bring you delicious food when I come back. Then I want to eat fried chicken. Li Fan agreed and went out. The dragon lady watched a Korean drama alone in the condominium and felt very bored. Why can't I go to class? The dragon lady felt that something was wrong no matter how she thought about it. This guy is probably doing something bad and doesn't dare to let me follow him. No, I'm his mentor. I have to supervise him at all times. The dragon lady confirmed her target. She picked up a backpack and stuffed a few bags of potato chips inside. After thinking for a moment, she stuffed a few more bags of spicy sticks before leaving with a clear conscience. The dragon lady nibbled on the potato chips as she walked outside. Not long after she left, she got lost. The university nowadays was so big. Why was it so big? The dragon lady looked at the tall buildings around her. She had no idea which one was Li Fan's class. The university in the past was not so big. It was just one building. Is it this one? The dragon lady walked towards the building in front of her, but she was stopped by the auntie at the door. Hey, you're not allowed to enter. How can a little girl barge into the boys' dormitory? Boys' dormitory? The dragon lady thought for a long time. It seemed to be where the boys slept? How could there be such a place? Excuse me, do you know where the Shangfang class is? The dragon lady asked the auntie. What Shangfang? Where did this little girl come from? Go find your adults. Hey, do you know who I am? How dare you speak to me like this? I'm the supreme little dragon lady. Not even Yanghua. Hurry up and leave. Chapter 1084. Dragon Girl was kicked out of the male dormitory. She walked on the grassy path, her mind in turmoil. Damn bastard, how dare he leave me here alone? I'm so angry. I've lost my appetite. As Dragon Lady walked, she took big bites of potato chips. She was surrounded by G University students. One after another, they walked past Dragon Girl and looked curiously at this cute little loli. Which school is this little girl from? Probably from a nearby middle school. She's so cute. Hearing the discussions around her, Dragon Girl became even more unhappy. These stupid humans. Do they have the right to comment on this Dragon Girl? Damn it, where is that bastard? Dragon Girl walked and walked. Unknowingly, she walked out of the campus and arrived outside. She looked at the heavy traffic outside. Although she had seen it once, she could not help but be shocked. After sleeping for so many years, humans seem to have developed quickly. These metal boxes running on the ground seemed to have become more beautiful and faster. There was an endless stream of carriages and people coming and going, making Dragon Lady feel very refreshed. She walked and ate. Soon she was far away. At the same time, she finished all the food in her backpack. It's gone so quickly. I should have brought more. Dragon Girl shook her clean backpack and could not help but sigh. She continued walking along the street. When she saw a passerby, she went up to him and asked, "Hey, do you know where Li Fan is?" "What Li Fan?" "I don't know." Although she was a pretty girl, her tone was a little bad. The person shook off Dragon Girl's hand and walked away. What kind of attitude is this? Humans are getting more and more impolite. Dragon Girl curled her lips in anger. She continued walking on the street, trying to find Li Fan. There were strangers everywhere. Everyone was looking at her strangely. Dragon Girl's initial novelty was gone. She slowly began to panic. Damn it, she must be hungry. Dragon Girl walked to the side of the street. When she saw a roadside stall selling paella, she immediately stopped walking. "Little girl, do you want paella?" the stall owner asked while stir-frying the paella. "My paella is very authentic. I guarantee you'll want more." "Oh, which one is the most delicious?" "Forget it, I'll have one of each," Dragon Lady said while drooling. "So many, are you buying it for your family?" The boss did a rough calculation. "Then just give me 380 yuan. I don't want the small change." "Money? Just ask Li Fan for the money." "Who is Li Fan?" "My disciple. He's in charge of my meals." "Where is he?" "I'm looking for it." "Are you stupid?" The boss was speechless for a long time before he chased the dragoness away. Damn it, damn it. Dragon Girl was furious. This bastard actually chased her away. Don't these stupid mortals know what it means to respect a dragon lady? How dare he treat me like this? If not for the rule of not attacking mortals, the dragon lady would have killed him long ago. But his paella seemed to be pretty good. It would be a pity to destroy it. "Li Fan, where are you?" "I'm so hungry," Dragon Lady was about to cry. She wandered the streets for a long time. The sky was starting to darken. Dragon Lady's stomach was growling. She was about to go crazy. At this moment, a black Mercedes-Benz stopped in front of her and blocked her way. "Hey, don't block the way, bastard." Dragon Lady was a little angry. Why was she so unlucky today? It was all that damned Li Fan's fault. "Beautiful lady, do you want to go eat something together?" The window rolled down. A slender gentleman sat in the car and invited Dragon Lady. Eat something?" Dragon Lady's stomach growled. "Yes, do you want to go? You can eat whatever you want." "Of course. I didn't expect you to be so sensible." Dragon Lady was happy. So there was still a sensible person here. "Beautiful lady, please get in the car." The door opened and Dragon Lady jumped in without hesitation. Go, 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 don't waste time." The Dragon Lady beamed. She could finally have a good meal. "Li Fan, even if I don't rely on you, this lady can still eat her fill." "Beautiful lady, what do you want to eat?" Young Master Sun Liang sat in his luxurious car and looked at the beautiful lowly beside him. His lower body could not help but swell. He had played with many women, but he only liked one, and that was Lolis. Only these tender Lolis had the most feeling when playing with them. Furthermore, they were very easy to deceive. As long as he treated them a little better, they would immediately become dizzy. The one in front of him was the same. Since this exquisite lowly had gotten into his car, she could forget about getting off. "I'll eat whatever is delicious, I'm not picky," Dragon Lady said very generously. "Then I'll bring you to eat Western food. I know a good Western restaurant with a good environment," Sun Liang suggested. "Sure, I know Western food, steak." Dragon Lady licked her lips. "It's barely edible." Dragon Lady's cute appearance made Sun Liang even more tempted. "This woman, she can't run away. Tonight I'll eat her." Sun Liang asked the driver to drive to the Western restaurant and sat in the private room. The waiter walked over with the menu in his arms. "Dear sir, miss, what would you like to eat?" "It's too troublesome to order." Dragon Lady had always been traditional, "Give me a portion of everything." The waiter was stunned, but Sun Liang smiled. Was this girl trying to make things difficult for him on purpose? This was nothing. "Just do as Miss said, bring it up one portion at a time." "Yes, sir." The waiter went down. "No matter what you want to eat, it's fine." Sun Liang was still intentionally showing off his wealth. "To me, this is just a small amount of money." "That's good. If you don't have enough money, You can just ask Li Fan. Li Fan? Who was that? The young master guessed for a moment and then forgot this name. No matter who he was, tonight, this lowly belonged to him. He wanted to make her moan under him. Beautiful lady, what's your name? Just call me Dragon Lady. Dragon Lady? It seems that you quite like the sense of mystery. Sun Liang's smile became even wider. I also like the sense of mystery. We can have more fun tonight. You're bringing me to play? Alright, let's go if you're full. Dragon Lady laughed heartily. Humans nowadays seem to be pretty good. Very quickly, the dishes were served one after another. Dragon Lady was not polite at all. Under Sun Liang's shocked gaze, she swept away the dishes one by one. Very quickly, Sun Liang was speechless. This woman, how much could she eat? Chapter 1085. A single meal. A single meal cost 120,000. Even if Sun Liang was mentally prepared, he couldn't help but feel the pain. 120,000 was enough to book a small celebrity for a few days. He must ruthlessly fuck her back. One night, 1 month. Sun Liang had a good idea, but the dragon girl in front of him put down the empty plate and asked again. Okay, I'm 70% full. Is there any dessert after the meal? Sun Liang's face twitched, but since he had already given the food to the other party, it didn't matter. But he couldn't give it to her for free. Of course, dear Miss Dragon Girl. Sun Liang said, I have some delicious desserts at home. Do you want to come over and eat? The dragon girl didn't doubt it at all, and even felt that Sun Liang was very kind. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Okay, Miss Dragon Girl, this way please. Sun Liang was overjoyed. It seemed like he was going to have fun tonight. What wealth and happiness could compare to a moment of spring? Sun Liang endured the heat in his heart. He was now a good hunter waiting for his prey to take the bait, waiting for the dragon girl to jump into his trap. The two of them sat in a big Benz and arrived at Sun Liang's villa. Speaking of which, this steak is quite delicious. Later on, let Li Fan bring me to eat it often. As they entered the villa, the dragon girl was still muttering. Miss Dragon Girl, I have already prepared a candlelight dinner. Sun Liang brought the dragon girl to the dining table. He had already prepared pastries in advance and placed them on the table. There were also 3 candles lit on the side. The room was dimly lit and the flames flickered. The dragon girl frowned. Why didn't you turn on the lights? It's inconvenient to eat in the dark. Sun Liang was speechless. This lowly seemed to be too young, as if she had no feelings for matters of the heart. But it didn't matter, as long as she came into contact with his rui water, no matter how chaste she was, she would have to obediently submit to him. There was a huge 3-layer cake on the table, and the sweet smell of cream had already made the dragon girl salivate. Without waiting for Sun Liang to turn on the lights, the dragon girl had already cut a large piece of cake and stuffed it into her mouth. Slowly, we can also drink some red wine to liven things up, Sun Liang suggested. When it came to food, the dragon lady did not reject any. Sun Liang snapped his fingers, and the servant immediately brought a bottle of red wine and poured it for the two of them. Sun Liang glanced at the servant, and the servant nodded. Come, have a taste of my red wine. It's all from my collection in the cellar. It's the best Bordeaux. Yes, yes, yes. Sun Liang was dumbfounded. In the time it took to pour a cup of wine, Dragon Lady had already wiped out a layer of cake. Was this the speed of eating? It was too exaggerated. Sun Liang pressed his forehead. Forget it, it didn't matter if he could eat as long as he could work. However, this girl was also strange. She could eat so much, yet she wasn't fat at all. Her figure was very slim, a standard Lolita figure, which made it difficult for Sun Liang to control himself. Tonight, I must have a good time. After all, it was very difficult to come across such top-grade goods. At the thought of this, Sun Liang was a little excited, and he couldn't wait to push down the loli in front of him. However, the time was not ripe yet. Once she drank the wine, she would naturally be at his mercy. Don't just eat, drink something to ease your appetite. Sun Liang pushed the red wine in front of her again. Yes, yes. Dragon Lady didn't doubt him, picked up the wine cup and drank the red wine in one gulp. It's quite delicious. Dragon Lady held the wine cup. Give me another cup. Forget it, give it all to me. The dragon girl took the bottle and directly drank from it. Under Sun Liang's astonished gaze, the whole bottle of red wine was drunk by her. Although it was only red wine, it still had a lingering effect. Drinking so much in one go, Sun Liang felt that he didn't even need the rui water. However, Dragon Lady drank an entire bottle, and nothing happened, and continued to eat her cake calmly. Is it delicious? It's delicious. Dragon Lady licked the cream on her lips and nodded. It's just that it's a bit too little, just one more would be enough. Then aren't you sleepy? Am I the kind of person who would be sleepy after eating? Dragon Lady immediately emphasized, what's more, I'm not full yet. Sun Liang was speechless for a long time. He glared at his servant. The servant hurriedly shook his head, indicating that he let go of the medicine. That's impossible. Sun Liang pondered for a long time. This rui water can even put down an elephant, let alone a little loli? I'm thirsty. Is there anything else to drink? Dragon Lady ate the bit thirsty. You should drink this. Sun Liang took out the brand of rui water and placed the whole bottle in front of Dragon Lady. He had used this rui water many times, and it worked every time, so there shouldn't be any problems. Dragon Lady didn't hesitate and directly drank the whole bottle. The taste is not bad. Dragon Lady licked her lips. You have a lot of delicious food here. I will come often in the future. Sun Liang didn't know what to say. He was very embarrassed now. After drinking the whole bottle, Dragon Lady still sat there calmly and continued to eat the cake, without any abnormal look. Maybe it's a bit slow. Sun Liang endured and waited for the effect of rui water to take effect. After the dragoness finished eating the entire cake, she licked her fingers clean and sat there perfectly fine. Nothing had happened to her. Thank you for your offering, it's delicious. Now I'm full, I'm going home, come back next time. Dragon Lady touched her belly, got up and was about to leave. Wait a minute. Sun Liang hurriedly called out to her. What's wrong? Dragon Lady turned her head and looked at Sun Liang strangely, not knowing what he wanted. Do you have any fruits after dinner? You're so sensible, take them all out. Sun Liang was completely speechless. Wasn't this a joke? What should he do now? Since wine didn't work, it seemed that it was time to use force. After eating so much of me and spending so much of my money, you want to leave now? Sun Liang revealed his true colors, waved his hand, and a few bodyguards blocked in front of Dragon Lady. What else do you want? Dragon Lady didn't react and looked at Sun Liang. How did the kind person who just treated her to a meal become so evil in the blink of an eye? Damn, if I don't sleep with you, don't think about going anywhere. You want to sleep with me? Dragon Lady was a little surprised, but humans and dragons can't have a relationship, so I'm sorry. What nonsense are you talking about? Hold her down. Sun Liang bellowed, and a few bodyguards rushed over to hold Dragoness down. But Dragon Lady reached out, grabbed a 1.9-meter tall bodyguard, and casually threw him out. Chapter 1086. Seeing the burly man fall more than 10 meters away and finally hit the wall, Sun Liang could not help but widen his eyes. As for the other tall bodyguard, he definitely weighed 200 pounds, but at this time, the petite dragon girl grabbed his arm and threw him left and right like a toy. How is this possible? This loli, is she a humanoid monster? Sun Liang was a little confused. The existence of this little loli had already exceeded his common sense. When the loli carried a burly man and sent all his bodyguards flying, Sun Liang finally reacted. This is not a human, she is a demon. Help! Demon! Sun Liang turned around and wanted to run, but the loli had appeared in front of the living room door and blocked his way. Dragon Girl sat on the cabinet in front of the living room door, swinging her white legs and sighing. You said you wanted me to exercise a bit. In the end, the food I just ate was digested the moment I moved. Dragon Girl grabbed a burly man with one hand and threw him to the side. How are you going to compensate me? Save me. Monster, monster. Sun Liang screamed and turned around, wanting to escape again. Dragon Girl jumped to the ground and kicked the burly man beside her. The burly man was kicked up like a ball, and in the blink of an eye, he crashed into Sun Liang's body and knocked him down. Humans are stupid, they always like to challenge the dragon's might. Dragon Girl stretched. I'm full and want to sleep. Where is Li Fan? Damned monster, go to hell. Sun Liang took out a pistol from the drawer beside him and aimed it at Dragon Girl. I don't care if you're a demon or not, go to hell. Sun Liang fired a few shots in a row, and the bullet casings scattered everywhere. However, not everyone could use a pistol well. Sun Liang was spoiled and did not have the strength to truss a chicken. And a pistol was very powerful, especially the Colt in his hand. The recoil was very strong. Sun Liang fired 6 shots in a row, but all the bullets missed. The dragon lady stood there, unmoved. Foreign guns and cannons? This thing can't scare me. As the dragon lady spoke, she stretched out her hand, grabbed the 3-meter-long sofa beside her, and threw it out, smashing it on Sun Liang. Sun Liang fainted from the impact. Humans are so weak. The dragoness shook her head and prepared to leave. However, at this time, a group of bodyguards in black suits surrounded the villa from 3 floors to the left and 3 floors to the right. He's the one who hurt the young master. Arrest her. The bodyguards were all holding taser guns and aiming them at Dragon Girl. So many people. Are they all here to offer me food? Dragon Lady made a naive guess, but the bodyguards pulled the trigger. Several taser guns hit Dragon Lady's body. The blue electric light flickered. The taser gun that could electrocute an elephant seemed to have lost its effect. Dragoness stood there, her hands on her waist as she looked at the men in black suits. Strange, what are you doing? The bodyguards were dumbfounded. What was going on? Is there something wrong with the stun gun? But there shouldn't be something wrong with so many of them at the same time. Looks like you're not here to offer tribute. Dragon Lady sighed. Humans nowadays really don't fear the gods anymore. The bodyguards in front of her looked left and right, not knowing what to do. At this moment, Dragon Lady suddenly opened her small mouth and let out a roar. The sound wave swept through the entire courtyard. In the blink of an eye, all the bodyguards were stunned, motionless. Following that, all the bodyguards' faces turned pale, their eyes lost their luster, and they collapsed to the ground, unconscious. As expected of the Dragon Lady, the commotion she caused is really big. At this moment, a figure stood on a street lamp beside the courtyard. He wore a green coat, crossed his arms, and looked at Dragon Lady below. This aura is the 4 sacred beasts? Your senses are really sharp. The other party's lips curled up. You're really lucky today. Looks like your guardian isn't by your side. Who knows where he died to? Dragon Lady curled her lips. You really know how to find opportunities. 12 heavenly generals, we will completely annihilate the last sacred beast. As he spoke, he wore an azure dragon mask. This world doesn't need the power of sacred beasts. A battle that has lasted for thousands of years, Dragon Lady sighed. Azure Dragon, I'm afraid that's not your only goal, right? From what I know, you even joined China's Dove faction and brought the power of the 4 sacred beasts to them. That's right, the 4 of us are the strongest existences in this world. It's better to destroy the pugilistic world as soon as possible. Stop joking, you're just humans. Dragon Lady reminded the man wearing the Azure Dragon mask. Do you really think you're invincible just because you've obtained the power of the 4 sacred beasts? Let me kill you first. Azure Dragon seemed to be very happy. A dragon lady who has lived for more than 1,000 years should be made into a good weapon. Come out, Azure Dragon power. As he spoke, he stretched out his right hand, holding a green jade in the shape of an azure dragon. A green light enveloped his body, and in a blink of an eye, he put on an ancient green armor. At the same time, he held a green spear in his hand. The spear's body was like a long dragon. Dragon head with spear, dragon tail with beads. Azure Dragon, being made into a weapon, you should be very sad. Dragon Lady sat on the stairs and looked at the man standing on the street lamp. I can hear your soul crying. Ha! To be made into Azure Dragon arm is the honor of the 4 sacred beasts. Azure Dragon said arrogantly, in this world, only humans are at the top of the food chain. Dragon Lady, open your eyes and look at this world. Look at us humans. Is there any existence stronger than us? Even a dragon lady like you is just our prisoner. I won't die like this. Dragon Lady said as she looked at the street outside. Want to escape? In the hands of me, Azure Dragon? Oomph. Dragon Lady pulled up the electric pole by the side and threw it out. Azure Dragon stood on the electric pole and waved his spear, cutting the electric pole into 2. At this moment, Dragon Lady had already jumped onto the street outside. She quickly ran and stepped on the speeding car. With a leap, she jumped onto the overpass on the opposite side. With another leap, she jumped onto the roof of a building and continued to escape. Want to escape? Azure Dragon laughed in disdain. Little prey, let's see where you can escape to. With that, Azure Dragon tapped his feet and soared into the sky. He threw out his spear and stepped on it. The back of the spear spewed out a green energy like an aircraft. Stepping on it, he chased after the dragon girl like a jade tree in the wind. Chapter 1087. In a short 10 minutes, Dragon Lady had already run 10 kilometers. When Dragon Lady turned around, Azure Dragon was steadily chasing behind her. Stepping on his spear, he flew in the air leisurely. You can't escape from my palm. The Azure Dragon transmitted, Little prey, you look too ugly like this. Damn it. Dragon Lady was a little annoyed. She jumped down from the 10-meter tall building and landed on the ground. Dragon Lady's feet created a pit on the ground. She jumped forward and lifted a truck in front of her and threw it into the air. The truck turned around in the air and smashed towards Azure Dragon, who was in midair. Childish. Azure Dragon was disdainful. He lowered his body, and it was as if his entire body had become one with the Azure Dragon spear. He directly charged at the truck, broke through it and passed through it. Boom. The truck exploded in the air. Azure Dragon was already flying close to the ground, chasing after Dragon Lady, who was escaping. You can't escape. This is too ugly. Azure Dragon continued to tease Dragon Lady. Why don't you stop and I can let you die with dignity? Who wants to care about you? Dragon Lady was running when she suddenly stopped and turned around to look at Azure Dragon. Forget it, I won't run anymore. I can't outrun you anyway. You understand? Azure Dragon also came to a sudden stop and jumped down from his great spear. He stood in front of Dragon Lady. Are you going to surrender? Yes, I surrender, I surrender. Dragon Lady raised her hands. I'm tired of running. I won't run anymore. You win. That's more like it. Azure Dragon nodded his head in satisfaction. He extended his hand and the Azure Dragon great spear flew to his side. It floated in the air and pointed at Dragon Lady. Don't worry. I will set you free soon. Li Fan, you're here? Dragon Lady suddenly looked behind Azure Dragon and shouted excitedly. What? The Protector is here? Azure Dragon frowned and turned his head to look behind him. But the moment he turned his head, he felt something was wrong. Azure Dragon's great spear flew up and with a clang, it knocked away a golden sword. Thunder Light Sword? Azure Dragon sneered. You actually plan to counterattack? Are you looking down on me, Lord Azure Dragon? By the way, do you have any last words? Hey, Li Fan, you're here? The Dragoness widened her eyes. Ha, do you think I will be fooled again? The Azure Dragon sneered. Your final struggle is too unsightly. As he spoke, he extended 2 fingers and pointed at the Dragon Lady. The Azure Dragon great spear seemed to have come to life as it shot towards Dragon Lady. At this moment, a golden sword fell from the sky and stabbed into the ground, blocking Dragon Lady's path. Ding! With a loud bang, the golden sword bounced off the spear. A man in sportswear placed 1 foot on the hilt of a sword and looked at Dragon Lady behind him. Did you miss me? Bastardly Fan, what took you so long? Please, I've been looking for you for a long time. Li Fan couldn't help but complain. In the end, I had to follow the Shangfang sword to find you. In the end, my sword is still the most reliable. Are the two of you done chatting? The Azure Dragon crossed his arms and looked at Li Fan in front of him. You are this generation's Shangfang sword? Who is this cosplayer? Li Fan pointed at the man wearing the Azure Dragon armor and asked. Oh, this is one of the 4 sacred beasts, the Azure Dragon. Didn't the 4 sacred beasts escape? In the end, they were still killed by humans. The Dragon Lady laughed bitterly. Furthermore, they were made into the ultimate weapons of humans and passed down from generation to generation. Their mission is to kill all of the sacred beasts. In other words, they want to eliminate you 12 sacred beasts? Wrong. Let me interrupt for a moment. I don't like the word eliminate, it's too ugly. The Azure Dragon interrupted from the side. I feel that purification is more suitable. All living beings that are stronger than humans should be eliminated. We, the 4 sacred beasts, have this kind of mission. Not only the sacred beasts, but also China's wuxia power should be eliminated. What a terrifying ambition. Li Fan could not help but ask, without wuxia, do you know how many people will invade this place? Do you think that our goal is only China? The Azure Dragon laughed. Our goal is the entire world. Not only China's wuxia, but also all the superhuman powers in foreign countries. We will eliminate them all. Really scary, don't you think it's a bit too much? Who gave you the right? Power is power. The Azure Dragon said without hesitation. When humans are hunting those large animals that are a threat to humans, when have they ever asked their feelings? Guardian, don't forget, the weak are prey to the strong. This is the law of this world. I beg to differ. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Quickly chase him away. The Dragon Lady shouted, I'm hungry, I want to go back and eat instant noodles. You heard it too. Li Fan kicked the Shangfang sword. This Shangfang sword was pulled out from the ground and shot towards the Azure Dragon. Ding. The Azure Dragon called back his spear. Holding it in his hand, he flicked away Li Fan's sword. A mere Chinese martial artist dares to provoke me? Too ugly. Try it first. Li Fan has already jumped in front of the Azure Dragon. At the same time, he slashed down with his palm. This palm is as fast as lightning, descending from the sky, heading straight for the Azure Dragon's forehead. The Azure Dragon raised his great spear with both hands, blocking above his head. Ding. Another metal bell chime. The Azure Dragon's great spear actually sank down. Impossible. The Azure Dragon is somewhat surprised. You actually have this kind of strength. In the Azure Dragon's heart, Li Fan's strength should be around the peak of perfection. But he did not expect that in their first clash, Li Fan already has the strength of a generation's grandmaster? Indeed, a top human power. Looks like you have already used the Shangfang sword's return sword? It's still early, I don't need to use it to deal with you. Li Fan has full confidence in his own strength. Even if this Azure Dragon has the strength of a holy beast, it is impossible for him to reach a state that surpasses a normal person. According to what the Dragon Lady said, a human's body can only withstand a limited amount of power. Holy rank should be the limit. This man who calls himself the Azure Dragon should not have a strength that surpasses holy rank. Li Fan can already use Return Sword. With this trump card, he has confidence. Furthermore, according to the strength of the 12 holy beasts, this Azure Dragon should not be much stronger. Damn it. The Azure Dragon also miscalculated Li Fan's strength. His eyes burst out with a green radiance. Following that, he swung the great spear in his hand, pushing Li Fan out. The strength of 20 dragons. Li Fan has already calculated, holy beasts are indeed very strong, but it is not to the extent of being impossible to deal with. Chapter 1088. I just inherited the power of the holy beast, so I can't fully unleash this power. The Azure Dragon coldly snorted, too ugly. It's pretty ugly. Li Fan did not even wear his flying lion armor. With his martial skill, he could still deal with someone who was 10 dragons stronger than him. You brat only have half of my strength. Even if you use sword returning, you can only last for a minute. The Azure Dragon warned Li Fan, but I also have a secret manual to increase my strength. As long as you can endure for a minute, your end will come. Who said I'm going to use sword returning? Li Fan laughed. Just by relying on martial skill, I can defeat you. After Li Fan entered the Grandmaster realm, he did not delay training his strength. His current strength was around 13 dragons, all of which were refined energy. You've underestimated my Azure Dragon's power. The Azure Dragon raised his own strength. Azure light swam around his body, bringing with it a beautiful feeling of power. Eat my spear. The Azure Dragon raised his spear and charged towards Li Fan, thrusting towards his throat. Li Fan leaned to the side and pushed his palm, pushing the Azure Dragon's spear away. Damn martial artist. Seeing that Li Fan's martial skill was not ordinary, the Azure Dragon was somewhat vexed. He took a step back and swept his spear horizontally, directly using Sweeping Thousand Army. Let's see if you can block this move. Guardian. The Azure Dragon's spear carried a huge power. After all, the power of 20 dragons was not a joke. However, Li Fan placed both of his hands on the spear and followed the Azure Dragon's power to pull it to the side. The Azure Dragon's body was pulled by his and Li Fan's combined strength, causing him to stagger forward. As for Li Fan, he grabbed a ball of energy in his hand and struck the Azure Dragon's waist with a dragon-spitting pearl. Bam! The Azure Dragon's body flew out and crashed into a truck behind him. The truck behind him was directly shattered by the distortion of the power, and raging flames burned. Azure Dragon was in a sorry state as he slowly stood up. Holding onto his spear, he shook off the flames on his body and pointed at Li Fan. You have angered me, mere martial artist. Unwilling to admit defeat? It's too ugly. Li Fan winked at him. Azure Dragon flew into a rage. The Azure Dragon comes from the east and soars in the sky. As the Azure Dragon spoke, it suddenly leaped up and leaped tens of meters into the air. The wind seemed to be supporting his body, allowing him to temporarily float there. Lightning Spear. Azure Dragon stretched out his hand and pointed his spear at Li Fan. A bolt of lightning flashed out from the great spear and struck towards Li Fan. Ursa Major Seal. Li Fan gathered true chi on his palm and welcomed the lightning. Boom! Li Fan's palm sank, and he was forced to take 2 steps back, blood dripping from his perlicue. Li Fan's hands were still trembling. Although this thunderbolt could not be compared to natural thunderbolts, it was still very powerful. Haha! Azure Dragon laughed. This is the power of the Azure Dragon. Foolish martial artist, accept your punishment. As he spoke, Azure Dragon held his great spear and kept stabbing at Li Fan. Thunderbolts fell one after another, attacking Li Fan. Idiot! Li Fan snapped his fingers, and then his body suddenly disappeared from the Azure Dragon's line of sight. Azure Dragon was shocked. Where did he go? Here, idiot. Li Fan had just used Spirit Monkey to escape and arrived behind Azure Dragon. Tens of meters in the sky, Li Fan arrived in an instant. At the same time, he twisted his legs on Azure Dragon's head and twisted it with force. Twin Dragon Scissors. This was Li Fan's ultimate move. If it was a normal time, it could directly cut off a person's head. But now, he failed and only twisted Azure Dragon's neck. Lightning Spear. Lightning erupted from Azure Dragon's spear and struck Li Fan's body, sending him flying. Damn it, you brat are really hard to deal with. Azure Dragon was in a very sorry state. He twisted his neck and roared, Use your Gui sword, let's fight fair and square. Aren't I fighting fair and square with you now? Li Fan said very directly, It's just that you can't beat me. Nonsense. Azure Dragon brandished his spear and once again released thunderbolts, wanting to attack Li Fan. But Li Fan's speed was not slow. Every time he shifted, he was able to dodge Azure Dragon's thunderbolts. The thunderbolts struck Li Fan's surroundings, charring the ground. Li Fan, stop playing around. Use Gurai's sword to deal with this guy. Dragon Girl also urged, I'm hungry, What's the hurry? The fun is not over yet. Li Fan replied casually. Both of them were forcing the other to use their trump card first. Whoever revealed their trump card first would mean that they lost. Use Gui sword for me. Azure Dragon's anger had already risen. He brandished his spear and threw out a thunderbolt. At this time, Li Fan suddenly lowered his body and rushed in front of Azure Dragon. Lightning Spear. Lightning erupted from Azure Dragon Great Spear and went straight for Li Fan's heart. Black Toad crossing water. Li Fan lowered his body and almost stuck to the ground. He dodged the lightning spear and quickly arrived in front of Azure Dragon. Azure Dragon lowered his head and stabbed his spear towards Li Fan. Li Fan placed one hand on the ground and turned his body, dodging Azure Dragon's lightning spear. At the same time, Li Fan kicked out and stabbed Azure Dragon's lower abdomen. He nodded. Even though he was using his leg, Li Fan was still able to seal Azure Dragon's acupuncture point, causing Azure Dragon's strength to freeze. Father Bear Pile Driver. Li Fan took advantage of the moment Azure Dragon froze and grabbed Azure Dragon's collar with one hand. Then, with a beautiful shoulder throw, he fiercely smashed Azure Dragon onto the ground in front of him. Ape King Cannon. Li Fan threw a palm towards Azure Dragon who was in the pit. Bam! Azure Dragon's body trembled as a terrifying power erupted from his body. With him as the center, spiderweb cracks spread out. Ape King Cannon was able to release the power of a cannon with one palm. Even Azure Dragon was complaining incessantly. Damn it! Azure Dragon roared. His body trembled as a powerful force struck Li Fan's body, sending Li Fan flying once again. Alright, it's finally coming. Li Fan was a little excited. Feeling the power that Azure Dragon was releasing, his blood started to boil. Come quickly, I have been waiting for this moment. Azure Dragon equipment. Release. Azure Dragon held onto his spear and let out a roar. This roar of his shattered the dark clouds in the sky. Following that, Azure Dragon's body emitted a green light as the armor on his body started to multiply. Very quickly, it turned into a dragon-scale armor that covered Azure Dragon's entire body. In the blink of an eye, Azure Dragon looked like a dragon man. A powerful force spread out from his body and struck the surroundings, creating a huge crater on the ground. Top-notch power. Li Fan felt how terrifying it was. Chapter 1089. After releasing his power, the Azure Dragon seemed to have the strength to rival a saint. You actually forced me to use this move first, it's too ugly. The Azure Dragon seemed to be very angry. He glared at Li Fan angrily, as if he hoped that his gaze would carry lightning and electrocute Li Fan into charcoal. Now you are like an ant, how can you be my mash? Take out your Gui sword, it can still be of some use. It's just a saint, why should I use Gui sword? However, Li Fan's temper flared up. He wanted to see if his martial skill could withstand the power of a saint. If it really did not work, he could just use Gui sword. He was competing with the Azure Dragon in terms of time. Even if he was in the state of release, he could not maintain it for too long. As long as he could endure the time, he could use Gui sword and the Azure Dragon would definitely lose. You still don't need Gui sword. Courting death. The Azure Dragon felt humiliated when he saw that Li Fan had no intention of using Gui sword. Cut the crap, come on. Li Fan stretched out his hands and placed them in front of him, making a fighting stance. As the Azure Dragon spoke, his body suddenly carried a green light and in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Li Fan. He held the lightning spear in his right hand and stabbed it towards Li Fan's eyebrows. His speed was extremely fast, really like lightning. Even with Li Fan's unique eyesight, he could not see the trajectory of the lightning spear clearly. However, Li Fan was an outstanding martial artist. He could judge where the Azure Dragon was going to stab based on the movement of his shoulders. Li Fan almost brushed past the tip of the spear and dodged the stab. However, the lightning that spread out from the spear tip still affected Li Fan's body. A kind of numb feeling made Li Fan's ability to move a little slower. At the same time, The Azure Dragon stretched out his left palm and released a lightning bolt that struck Li Fan's chest. Li Fan took a step back and spat out a mouthful of blood. This caused his internal organs to turn upside down, and he felt as if all 5 of his viscera had received a considerable impact. A martial sage was indeed a martial sage. This power was like an avalanche that crashed onto Li Fan's body. He originally wanted to make a move, but when he took a step forward, he felt another wave of pain in his body, causing him to kneel on the ground subconsciously and spit out another mouthful of blood. "Ha, this is the power of a martial sage, bastard." The Azure Dragon laughed heartily. His expression was one of joy, as if he was already determined to kill Li Fan. "All right, Protector, you can die in peace." The Azure Dragon walked in front of Li Fan, raised his great spear, and stabbed towards Li Fan's head. However, at this moment, the great war god popped out and grabbed Azure Dragon's spear. The lightning struck the great war god's body, causing the great war god's image to continuously shake. "What?" The Azure Dragon was shocked. You might not know, but in martial arts, this move is called the martial god true body. Li Fan spat out a mouthful of turbid air. "Compared to the divine skills that you guys use, I prefer to use martial skills to determine victory." The Dragoness had once told him that China had a few attacking techniques. For ordinary grandmasters of combat, they trained in combat skills. For grandmasters of martial arts, they trained in martial skills. But for divine beasts and existences like Shangfang sword, they trained in divine skills. Liberation, sword return, these were all worthy of being divine skills. And Li Fan chose the martial god. At this moment, although the great war god was shaking due to the lightning strike, his image was much clearer. After fighting with Yu Shi, Li Fan began to study the martial god true body in depth. Since Yu Shi and the others favored this move so much, it meant that there was still value in improving the martial god true body. Child's play. The Azure Dragon stretched out his left palm and released a bolt of lightning towards Li Fan's great war god, destroying Li Fan's martial god true body. "I've been waiting for this moment." However, Li Fan laughed. He tapped on the Azure Dragon's body, which was full of flaws. Li Fan's true chi pierced through the Azure Dragon's armor and entered his acupuncture point. The Azure Dragon's body slightly stiffened, but in the blink of an eye, he returned to normal. However, what Li Fan wanted was this instant. In the time that the Azure Dragon's body stiffened, he had already entered his embrace, and at the same time, the Ape King cannon smashed onto the Azure Dragon's chest. Bam! The Azure Dragon's chest armor was directly shattered. He took a step back and looked at Li Fan in front of him in shock. Damn martial fighter, how dare you injure me?" The Azure Dragon's eyes widened as he looked at the broken armor on his chest in disbelief. "You're welcome." Li Fan laughed. "Are you satisfied? I'm going to kill you." The Azure Dragon's face was somewhat sinister as he looked at Li Fan viciously. "Go and die for me." He raised his great spear, and the tip of the spear released a strong electric light, which instantly struck Li Fan's body. Li Fan's body was not lightly injured. This time, he was unable to dodge and was hit head-on. He knelt on the ground as the electric light continuously tore at his body. "I will slowly torture you and let you know my terror." As the Azure Dragon roared, the Dragon Girl stretched out her hands and grabbed onto an SUV beside her. She threw the SUV towards the Azure Dragon. The Azure Dragon spat out a bolt of lightning, which directly turned the SUV into dust in the air. "I think I should kill you first." The Azure Dragon's mouth was aimed at the Dragon Girl's direction. This is the end. At this time, Li Fan slowly raised his head and struggled to stand up from the ground. "What?" The Azure Dragon's eyes widened while Li Fan sneered. "Didn't you notice? Your power has already started to weaken. The Azure Dragon's power has also reached its limit." The Azure Dragon's green light was slowly fading. He was too pleased with himself earlier and indeed neglected his strengthening time. "Now it should be my turn." Li Fan stretched out his hand and the Shangfang sword flew into his hand. "Didn't you want to taste the Gui sword? As you wish." Li Fan held the Shang Fang sword in his hand as his pair of eyes emitted a golden light. Too ugly. As the Azure Dragon spoke, he suddenly leaped into the air and turned into a bolt of lightning to escape. Li Fan spat out a mouthful of blood. What sacred beast only is... Are you crazy? You idiot. The dragon girl sat on the roof of the car and looked at Li Fan with anger in her eyes. If you had used the Gui sword from the beginning, you would have already defeated him, right? If the Gui sword is so powerful, then why are the 4 sacred beasts still alive? Li Fan swallowed a rejuvenation pill and slowly stood up. He looked at the dragon girl and asked, "This?" The dragon girl was stunned for a moment. This question had indeed stumped her. The Gui sword. The time is too short. The dragon girl sighed. Compared to the release of the 4 sacred beasts, it is only evenly matched. Chapter 1090. This is incredible. Luo Xiaofeng's rejuvenation pill was indeed very powerful. After eating one, Li Fan's internal injuries had mostly recovered. This sword of Gui can only be used as a trump card. If I use it casually, what effect would it have? Li Fan sheathed the Shang Fang sword back into its scabbard. What I want is not to be evenly matched with them. I want to use Sword of Gui to kill them when they are least expecting it. But this time, he has been on guard against my Sword of Gui. I'm afraid even if I use it, it won't have any effect. I might as well keep it and use my martial skill to deter him. You actually considered so much. Dragon Girl touched her smooth chin and couldn't help but want to praise Li Fan. I'm hungry. Li Fan was speechless. This woman, other than eating, what else did she know? Is this your catchphrase? Li Fan asked. No, this is an instinctive reaction. I am indeed hungry. Dragoness rubbed her flat belly. Look, I'm so skinny from hunger. Didn't you eat just now? I ate a little. Just now, a very good human offered me a lot of food. Steak, foie gras sauce, they taste pretty good. Li Fan's eyebrows twitched. This girl, don't tell me she's addicted to eating. But instant noodles are still the best. I want to eat spicy and sour. That's good. I'll make it for you when we get back. The humans nowadays are only offering some food, yet they want to mate with me. Pfft. Li Fan had not cleaned up his blood clot. Hearing this, he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. No wonder someone would inexplicably invite Dragon Girl to eat so many big meals. So it turned out that they had ulterior motives? In the future, don't casually eat food given by passers-by? Li Fan asked. Why not? Those are the food they offer to me. Dragon Girl tilted her head and looked at Li Fan with a face full of doubt. This is their responsibility and obligation. Li Fan didn't know what to say. This woman was like a lifeblood to food. However, food was the most important thing for the people. There was nothing wrong with that. I can't take it anymore. I'm so hungry. Take me home. The Dragon Lady's repeated requests left Li Fan with no choice but to take her away. However, Dragoness stretched out her hand and tugged at Li Fan's sleeve, almost causing Li Fan to tumble. What else? Carry me on your back. I'm so hungry that I don't have any strength left. How did this look like he had no strength? Li Fan wanted to cry but had no tears. This strength, don't be too much. Hurry up. I'm really hungry. The Dragon Girl rubbed her belly and looked pitifully at Li Fan. You are my guardian. You have to be responsible for my belly. Okay, let's do it. Li Fan had no choice. He really couldn't do anything to this dragon lady. Other than being a little arrogant, this little girl was pretty good. There was nothing she could do about being arrogant. A dragon lady who had lived for more than 1,000 years was naturally different from ordinary people. Come on, climb up. Li Fan gestured to Dragoness. Are you crazy? How am I supposed to get up like this? Squat down. Li Fan had no choice. Sometimes, Dragoness was like a child. He could only squat down in front of Dragoness and let her lie on his back. Talk to me about the 4 sacred beasts. After Li Fan carried Dragoness on his back, he asked as he walked back. The 4 sacred beasts. Each of them is a freak. When Dragoness thought of them, she could not help but feel sorrowful. They have used the power of the 4 sacred beasts for generations and have always been enemies with us 12 sacred beasts. After so many years, I wonder how many of the 12 sacred beasts have died in their hands. Then how did the new 12 sacred beasts come about? Li Fan could not help but ask. The souls of the dead 12 sacred beasts will continue to reincarnate. Dragoness explained, that's why we often search for the new 12 sacred beasts. So that's how it is. It's also an ill-fated relationship. Li Fan sighed. Why is there a need to kill generation after generation? Some things are hard to explain. Dragoness muttered, I don't like it either. But grudges are grudges. I can't stop it. Is that so? Yes, I hope that this grudge can be ended in your generation. Is this your wish? Li Fan suddenly asked solemnly. Of course. Dragoness seemed to be a little sleepy. Her voice was a little groggy. Every generation. It's not possible. So sleepy. Li Fan heard a light breathing sound beside his ear. Dragoness seemed to have fallen asleep. This girl. He really could not do anything to her. Li Fan carried her all the way back to the apartment. Not long after Li Fan came back, he took a shower and came out of the bathroom wearing a bathrobe. This student apartment is good. It's so convenient to take a shower. However, it was still a secret that Li Fan lived here. After all, if Zhao Yingjun and the rest knew, it would be troublesome. Therefore, Li Fan announced to the public that he went out to rent a house. But just as Li Fan sat down, he heard a knock on the door. Li Fan was a little surprised. Who could it be? In the school, who would know that I live here? Li Fan thought for a moment. It seems like it's only Liao Wushuang and senior sister Lu Wana. Could it be Lu Wana? Thinking of his tenderness with senior sister, Li Fan's body heated up. It's been a long time since he had tenderness with senior sister. Li Fan was looking forward to it. Although Dragoness is here, she is sleeping so soundly. There should be no problem. Dragoness really can eat and sleep. After she falls asleep, she won't wake up for at least 12 hours. Even thunder and fire can't wake her up. Coming. Hearing the urgent ringtone, Li Fan quickened his pace, walked to the door and opened it. But when he opened the door, it was none other than Jean Kumo who was covered in blood. Jean Kumo? What's wrong? Li Fan was shocked. How can it be this girl? He quickly helped Jean Kumo up and carried her to the sofa. At the same time, Li Fan checked her wounds. Sorry for the offense. Li Fan tore off Jean Kumo's coat. She wrapped her chest in a traditional bandage. But this is not the main point. Li Fan checked her body and found at least 30 to 40 wounds of various sizes. A few of the wounds were so ghastly that they could almost take Jean Hisao's life. How tenacious! She didn't die. Li Fan took out the rejuvenation pill and wanted to feed it to Jean Kumo. But Jean Kumo was already unconscious. Obviously, she can't swallow this pill. Li Fan thought for a moment, stuffed the pill into his mouth, crushed it, and kissed Jean Kumo's lips. Chapter 1091. Jean Kumo's mouth had a slight taste of blood, but Li Fan expressed that he wouldn't mind it. So what if she suffered a loss? Li Fan fed the medicine into Jean Kumo's mouth, and then pointed at an acupoint on Jean Kumo's neck. Jean Kumo's throat moved, and the medicine in her mouth went into her stomach. The effect of the rejuvenation pill was heaven-defying, and Li Fan was very confident. Not long after, Jean Kumo coughed twice. Li Fan helped Jean Kumo up, and with one hand on her back, he sent true qi into her body to dissolve the medicine in her body. After a quarter of an hour, Jean Kumo finally woke up slowly. After she opened her eyes, she took a look at herself, and the first thing she did was to use praying mantis fist and poked at Li Fan's throat. At that time, Li Fan really wanted to curse. However, he was still a grandmaster. He stretched out 5 fingers, and in a tiger's claw posture, he grabbed Jean Kumo's wrist. Is this how you treat your savior? Li Fan asked with a smile. Bastard, what did you do to me? Jean Kumo looked at Li Fan angrily, as if she couldn't wait to bite Li Fan to pieces. What else can I do to you? All I did was feed you the medicine and help you dissolve the medicine. Why, is this also a capital crime? Li Fan asked. Fed me medicine? How did you do it? Of course I fed you with my mouth. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. How else could I feed you? Speaking of which, your mouth has a strong fishy smell, and I forced myself to feed you the medicine. You don't need to thank me. Bastard. Jean Kumo wanted to kill him, but she accidentally affected the wound on her body, causing her to stop in pain and frown deeply. You're injured to this extent, don't move. Li Fan reminded her. Even if I die, I will take you with me. Tsukumo looked at Li Fan as if he was looking at his father's murderer. I don't think that's a good idea. After all, I did save you. Li Fan looked at Jin Hisao. If it wasn't for me, you would be a corpse by now. Could it be that you can insult me just because you saved me? Tsugumi climbed off the sofa with great difficulty and used his willpower to support his body. He opened his arms and clenched them into a ferocious mantis fist. Is that so? Come on then. Li Fan crooked his finger. You're courting death. Su Hisao sent a mantis fist towards Li Fan. Li Fan didn't move at all, but Jin Hisao's body tilted and fell to the ground. Li Fan stretched out his arms and hugged Jin Kumo. Isn't it more comfortable in my arms? You frivolous fellow. Jin Hisao gritted her teeth and glared at Li Fan. You only have the strength to talk now. Li Fan placed her back on the sofa. Just lie down. When you have time, explain why you appeared in front of my house. That would be even better. If it wasn't for the chief, I wouldn't have come to this lousy place. Jin Hisao said angrily. Luo Shuewu? What happened to her? To think you still remember the chief's name. I thought you've forgotten about her. How could that be? Aren't I still an honorary member of Yijian? You still remember Yijian? Yijian is about to be destroyed by someone. Huh. Li Fan's heart shook and he suddenly understood something. Holy War Plan? What kind of enemy? It's Jin Hisao looked at Li Fan. Dozens, hundreds of you, what the fuck? Li Fan was really shocked this time. A few hundred of me? That's why the chief sent me to look for you. Jin Hisao looked at Li Fan with an unfriendly gaze. Why are there so many of you? I'm afraid it's related to some cloning plan. Li Fan recalled that he had seen a clone of himself at Long Qingyun's place. Who would have thought that this thing would be used wantonly in this holy war plan? Bastard, isn't this tarnishing my reputation as the little tyrant? I understand. I'll follow you back to Snowy Mountain. Jin Hisao was injured to this extent and was sent to look for him. This meant that Yi Jian was on the verge of death. Let's go. Jin Hisao propped herself up and was about to stand up. Don't force yourself in your current state. Li Fan said. Let me carry you back. Then I'd rather die. Jin Hisao looked at the Shangfang sword that Li Fan placed on the table and grabbed it. I'll use this to walk. Jin Hisao pulled hard and her face turned pale. Her arm almost broke. What broken sword? Why is it so heavy? Even the big sword used by Chen Junhua of Mount Hua wasn't this heavy. You won't be able to carry it. Damn it. But we need to hurry to Snowy Mountain. Otherwise it's over. Our chief. She can't hold on much longer. Li Fan turned his head and looked at his room. Since there's a chance, I'll use some of my special privileges. What special privileges? You'll know in a while. Li Fan said and sent a message. Stay here and recuperate. We'll reach Snowy Mountain soon. I'll believe you this once. Jin Hisao was exhausted, but she couldn't close her eyes. She was too worried about the sect. When are we leaving? In half an hour? Li Fan placed his phone in his pocket. Don't worry. Luo Shuewu and I have some history. Moreover, for the sake of the little tyrant's reputation, I won't sit by and watch. You're heavily injured. It's better for you to recuperate. Yijian's brothers are fighting to the death. How can I recuperate here? Thinking of this, Jin Hisao couldn't sit still. She couldn't wait to fly to her comrade's side. It's useless even if you're anxious. If you have the ability, grow a pair of wings and fly back. Li Fan mocked mercilessly. Sooner or later, I'll kill you. Jean Hisao gritted her teeth so hard that they were about to break. Fine, fine, fine. Wait until you have the ability. Li Fan took out an Origin Rejuvenating Pill. Eat this Origin Rejuvenating Pill to replenish your strength. We'll talk about the rest later. Just as Li Fan was about to leave, Jean Hisao hurriedly shouted. Where are you going? I'm going to wake up a little ancestor. Li Fan walked into the bedroom. Dragon Lady was sleeping soundly. This lass was practically riding on his quilt, sleeping soundly. Seeing her sleeping posture, Li Fan didn't know what to say. Moreover, because she was sleeping, Dragon Lady was only wearing a doo-doo. Her thighs were exposed. She didn't even cover her embarrassing parts. Li Fan had no choice but to turn his head away. This lass, wasn't she too unprepared? Chapter 1092. After all, the Dragon Lady looked too young. Li Fan held back his desires. With a wave of his hand, he used his true chi to roll up the blanket and cover the Dragon Lady with it. Now is not the time to cover her. Li Fan suddenly remembered that he was here to wake her up. It wouldn't be long before they set off. Originally, Li Fan didn't want to bring the Dragon Girl along for this kind of dispute. But if she wasn't by his side, Li Fan wouldn't be at ease. After all, there was a group of fellows called the Four Sacred Beasts waiting to get rid of her. And this girl didn't know how to do anything other than eat. It was better to wake her up quickly. Only by keeping her by his side could he be at ease. Dragon Lady, wake up. Li Fan called out, but the Dragon Lady couldn't hear him at all. She was sleeping soundly. Dragon Lady? Li Fan raised his voice a little, but the Dragon Lady was still sleeping soundly. Calling her normally didn't seem to work. She probably couldn't wake up. Li Fan walked forward, reached out, and gently pushed the Dragon Lady's forehead. Damn, you can't even wake her up. Li Fan was troubled. He sat on the bed and stared at the Dragon Lady's face. This girl was really sleeping soundly. Li Fan imagined the sleeping appearance of a giant dragon in his mind. It felt completely different. He really didn't know what the dragon race was like. But since the Dragon Lady was transformed from a divine dragon, shouldn't her abilities be around the same tier? After all, that was the pinnacle of humans. But her actual strength wasn't that high. Although she was strong, her fighting ability wasn't outstanding. Her overall strength was probably only around the peak of perfection. The Dragon Lady was full of mysteries, and one couldn't help but want to study her. Li Fan wanted to know the structure of the Dragon Lady's body. He couldn't help but stretch out his hand and press it on the blanket. It happened to be the position of the Dragon Lady's lower abdomen. Li Fan's true chi passed through the blanket and into the Dragon Lady's body. He felt the flow of power in the Dragon Lady's body. This energy was indeed not true chi, but a power that seemed to be the source. Everyone had a certain amount of power in their bodies. Not just humans, but animals, even insects. This was the constant energy within the body of living beings, the foundation of their existence and activities. The energy within the human body could be cultivated into many forms. For example, Li Fan and other martial artists could slowly cultivate their strength into true chi. On the other hand, the Western Association of Mages could communicate with elemental spirits and use magic. The energy in Dragon Lady's body was indeed different from other energies. Li Fan seemed to be able to sense a 5-clawed golden dragon soaring into the sky. The dragon had been the symbol of China since ancient times. As for the Fist of 7 Heroes, it had indeed reached a bottleneck. If he could imitate the power of a real dragon, he might be able to achieve a breakthrough. When he transformed into a divine dragon general, many of the moves he used were imitations of the legendary divine dragons. For example, Dragon Spitting Pearl, Dragon King Seal, Twin Dragon Scissors, and Rising Dragon Strike. However, Li Fan always felt that it was just a form, unlike the 7 Gallant Fist, which had imitated the 7 animals to the extreme. Li Fan had to improve if he wanted his martial arts to compete with divine arts. Li Fan felt the power in Dragon Lady's body. He felt that this power was different, as well as the feeling of looking down on everything. Li Fan vaguely had a wonderful feeling that as long as he grasped this opportunity, he would be able to make a great leap and make another big step forward. Li Fan's heart suddenly skipped a beat. This was an impulse to combine with this woman. Only by combining with this woman could he obtain supreme power. Li Fan's eyes turned red, and he felt a little strange. Mr. Yang should have been completely crushed by his mental strength. He should not have been affected. Then what was it that affected him that made Li Fan have such a strong desire to reproduce? Dragon Lady was like a magnet, deeply attracting him. Li Fan could not help but approach her. The lowly's youthful body was right in front of him, as though it was within his reach. However, at this moment, a cold voice entered his ears. Sure enough, you're a sex maniac. You won't even let a little girl go. Looking at Tatsumi Hisashi, who was leaning against the door with his arms crossed, Li Fan's head was drenched in cold sweat, and he completely sobered up. Ahem, you misunderstood. I just want to wake her up. Li Fan said that this was his original goal, although there were some changes in the middle. Do you think I will believe your nonsense? Tatsumi snorted. Your personal evil fetish has nothing to do with me, and you don't need to explain it to me. Let me ask you, when are we leaving? We can leave after waking her up. Why bring her along? No matter what, you can't forget a warm and fragrant jade? What nonsense are you talking about? I am this person's guardian. Protecting her is my mission. Li Fan immediately said, so, I can't let anything happen to her, so I can only bring her along. Will I believe you? Tatsumi did not believe Li Fan's nonsense at all. Then why aren't you waking her up? If you can, why don't you wake her up? Li Fan spread his hands. Once Dragon Lady fell asleep, she would naturally wake up. After returning, there was once that she slept for 3 days and 3 nights before waking up. How long can she sleep? Tatsumi curled his lips. Can she even sleep until dinner? Dinner? Dragon Lady suddenly sat up, and the blanket on her fell off, exposing her upper body. Li Fan immediately waved his hand, and the blanket wrapped around her body, covering her girly area. Can you be more careful? Don't expose it so casually. Li Fan was very helpless. Also, if you don't eat, you won't get up. I'm hungry. Besides, we dragons don't need to wear clothes. Have you seen any dragon flying in the sky wearing clothes? They still have scales. Besides, I've never seen a dragon before. Li Fan was very helpless. Hee, don't you see it now? Tell me, what do you want to eat now? Is my instant noodles ready? Let's talk later. We have to go to the Great Snow Mountain. Snow Mountain? Why are we going there? Dragon Lady did not understand. She sat on the bed, picked up a bag of chips from the side, and asked while eating. Dragon? Tatsumi could not understand their conversation, but she was more worried about her compatriots on the Great Snow Mountain. I don't want to go to the Great Snow Mountain, it's too cold, we dragons don't like it there. The last time I went there, I remember there were specialties on the mountain. Li Fan recalled, the roasted pheasant there seems to be delicious. It's okay to wear warm clothes and stroll around the Great Snow Mountain occasionally, Dragon Lady said while drooling. And that's right. Li Fan stretched out his hand and pressed her head twice. Then when are we leaving? Tatsumi was very anxious. Li Fan took a chip, placed it in the air, and winked at Tatsumi. A roar sounded outside the window. Chapter 1093. A helicopter flew to the peak of the Great Sword Mountain. The helicopter stopped a few dozen meters away from the ground. Major Li, this is as far as we can go. A soldier saluted Li Fan. You'll have to rely on yourself for the rest of the journey. Got it. Li Fan wore a dark green military uniform for the first time today. He stood at the cabin door and looked back. Other than Jin Kumo and Dragon Lady, the 2 girls, Jiang Yuan and Jiang Fongfong, also followed. Today, there was a cosplay exhibition organized by the animation group. The two of them cosplayed as Rem and Ramu and performed nearby. When they saw a military helicopter flying over, they couldn't help but come over to join in the fun and saw Li Fan. Jiang Yuanyuan kept insisting to follow, so Li Fan could only let her. One more martial artist meant one more helping hand. Moreover, Li Fan also wanted to take this opportunity to train the two sisters. So this is the legendary Great Sword Mountain. Jiang Yuanyuan looked out of the window, very excited. She didn't look like she was here to help, but more like she was here to sightsee. Sister, wake up, we're here. Jiang Fangfang seemed to be still sleepy and was forcefully woken up by her sister. She looked down and then her eyes flashed. I didn't expect this snow mountain to be so beautiful. The beauty of our great snow mountain goes without saying. Jin Kumo stood beside Li Fan and coldly snorted, I didn't ask you to come here for sightseeing. Don't worry, we're here to help. Jiang Yuanyuan was still smiling. Sightseeing. What a naive girl. Jin Kumo sneered, you don't even know what war is. With that, she took the lead and jumped down from the helicopter. Fuck, this woman is still injured. She's going down. Li Fan couldn't help but curse, she's really crazy. Major Li, please protect the dragon lady. The officer gave Li Fan a meaningful look. Tell your general not to worry. As Li Fan spoke, he grabbed Dragon Lady's collar with one hand. I'm going down. Huh. Before Dragon Girl could react, Li Fan had already grabbed her by the collar and descended from the sky onto the snowy mountain. Jiang Yuanyuan and Jiang Fangfang also landed behind them. The two girls did not even take off their cosplay clothes. Although they were wearing thin clothes, they had vital energy to protect their bodies, so they could still survive on the snowy mountain. Wow, so cold. Even so, Jiang Yuanyuan couldn't help but shiver. I told you to wear more. As Jiang Fangfang spoke, she took out a scarf from her bag and wrapped it around her body. Big sister, when did you create Weibo? Oh, a boy from the club gave it to me. I haven't had the time to throw it away yet. Jiang Fangfang smiled. Just in time to use it. Look, I'm your good sister. Aren't you going to give in to your beloved sister? Your skin is thick, so you can resist the cold better than me. Jiang Fangfang's words always choked people to death. Jiang Yuanyuan was furious. Alright, both of you, stop messing around. Standing on the snowy mountain, Li Fan looked at the white surroundings. Someone is already here to welcome us. Jin Kumeo also held his mantis fist and maintained his vigilance. Fangfang Yuanyuan, you two protect Jin Kumeo. Leave this to me. President, leave the protection to Yuanyuan. Jiang Fangfang smiled again. She pulled out the Bagua saber from behind her and held it in her hand. Her feet slightly stepped on the Bagua steps, giving off an ethereal feeling. Jiang Yuanyuan shrugged her shoulders and took out two blue fans. She held them in her hands with one foot on the ground and the other raised up. She stood there like a golden rooster standing on one leg. Two little girls who have never been to the battlefield. Jin Kumeo looked down on them. What use could they be if they were delicate flowers cultivated in a greenhouse? And that foodie, she could still eat chips in this situation. She was really drunk. Before she could think further, many figures appeared in the surroundings. One after another, youths walked over. Each of them was wearing a black special combat suit and had a fierce look on their faces. So many presidents. Jiang Yuanyuan exclaimed, one is scary enough. Why are there so many? Nonsense, how am I scary? Li Fan emphasized. That's right, President isn't scary, he's wretched. Jiang Fangfang added. You better go and gank the surroundings first. On this cold, snowy mountain, Li Fan couldn't help but wipe off his cold sweat. Jiang Fangfang, this is the pugilistic world. Can you guys kill people? Hee, you don't understand. Jiang Yuanyuan suddenly laughed. Do you know why I learned the Bagua fan and sister learned the Bagua saber? Why? Because I like to leave some leeway, but sister is merciless. As the sound of her voice faded, Jiang Fangfang had already charged into the crowd with the Bagua saber in her hand. These warriors created from Li Fan's genes all possessed extraordinary strength. Moreover, they could use Li Fan's 7 Heroes Fist. In this wave, they mainly used the Tiger Strike technique and pounced toward Jiang Fangfang like ferocious tigers hunting for food. In an instant, at least 10 clones pounced toward Jiang Fangfang. However, Jiang Fangfang's lips curled up into a smile. She held the Bagua saber, lowered her body, and directly charged toward one of the clones. Jiang Fangfang quickly raised her saber and directly slashed the clone's chest, causing blood and intestines to flow out. As for the other clones, they were emotionless and stretched out their tiger claws to grab Jiang Fangfang. However, Jiang Fangfang quickly turned around and slashed with the Bagua saber, chopping off the hands of 2 clones. Next, with a swift slash, 2 heads were left on her saber. "You guys are too slow," Jiang Fangfang said. "Substitute." A voice suddenly rang, seemingly commanding these clones. Following that, the clones surrounding Jiang Fangfang suddenly started to retreat. Following that, another wave of clones approached. Their figures left afterimages behind as they rapidly closed in on Jiang Fangfang. So fast, even Jiang Yuanyuan couldn't help but exclaim, "This is the agile monkey steps." Li Fan explained, "Among all the martial arts that I practice, it is the one that focuses on speed the most. Seems like Jiang Fangfang will be in a tough battle." That might not be the case. Sister's saber technique has just begun. Jiang Yuanyuan was filled with confidence. At this moment, a clone leaped out from the snowy ground. He had actually been hiding for a long time and suddenly launched an attack. The moment he appeared, Jiang Yuanyuan's fan had already slapped his head. This clone was ruthlessly slapped into the snowy ground and fainted. Chapter 1094. Li Fan raises his leg and kicks the clone's head away. Looking at his own head flying in the air, Li Fan can't help but sigh. Probably only I can see such a scene. President is so lucky. Not everyone can see their own head flying in the air. Jiang Yuanyuan can't help but laugh. "Do you want to take a look?" "I don't want to." The little girl curls her lips. At the same time, she waved her fan again and sent another clone who tried to sneak up on her flying. On the other side, Jiang Fangfang's figure seems to have split into several, causing those ape strike clones to be thrown into confusion. At the same time, the real Jiang Fangfang carries the 8 trigram saber and quickly passes by them, killing a clone with every slash. Big Sister is very fast. Jiang Yuanyuan waves her fan, causing a gust of wind to blow away an ambusher. Don't look down on her. Jin Hisao is somewhat dumbstruck. Where did Li Fan find these 2 strong girls? Li Fan, on the other hand, was quite gratified. Under his guidance, these 2 girls had made great progress. This is a good thing. It shows that his teaching method is correct. Dragon Girl sits there peacefully, eating chips while watching the show. "Li Fan, there are so many of you here." Dragon Girl ridicules while eating, "They are all so weak." "They are just imitations, of course they are weak." Li Fan curls his lips. "How can they be compared to me, the real one? I think they are about the same." "Then the difference is too big." Li Fan chuckled. Then he raised his hand and sent a palm strike at the clones surrounding him from afar. A powerful palm wind flies out, directly crushing the bodies of those clones. With just the power of a palm, Li Fan instantly killed over a dozen clones. The snowy ground in front of him is also cleared out, making it look very conspicuous. Li Fan stands there with both hands in his pocket and slowly asks, "Sir, it is time for you to come out and meet me, right?" As expected of the little overlord. His strength is extraordinary. A man walked out from behind the clone and slowly approached Li Fan. "However, if I were you, I wouldn't get involved in this mess. Besides, you're like a clay bodhisattva crossing the river, you can't even protect yourself." Although this person was wearing a black veil that covered his face, Li Fan still recognized him at a glance. "Yo, isn't this my good second brother? What a coincidence, you're also working for the government now." Jiang Feng slowly took off his mask. How did you recognize me? How should I put this? Even if you turn into ashes, I will still recognize you. Li Fan laughed. But it's the first time we've met each other so calmly. Jiang Feng, when did you become the government's dog? Aren't you scolding yourself with your words? Jiang Feng sneered. That's true. We're all jackals of the same tribe. I won't mock you then. Li Fan nodded, but I don't seem to be working for this group of people. My task is to protect this place. What about you? Are you asking the obvious? Jiang Feng's face turned gloomy. Li Fan, even if you want to fool people, you need to know your limits. Are you kidding me? Look at these faces. Who is the one fooling who? Li Fan pointed at the surrounding clones. We're all allies of the underworld. Can you explain? Sure. Jiang Feng nodded. You should know about the Holy War, right? This is the action of the government. It's best if you don't block the front or you'll be crushed. Don't speak so early. I insist on blocking the front. What can you do to me? Li Fan, have you ever thought about how beautiful this world would be if there's no underworld? Jiang Feng wasn't in a hurry to attack. Instead, he tried to persuade Li Fan, it's because some people have unique powers that they're unscrupulous. Whoever they want to kill, they kill. Don't you think this kind of underworld should end? If you and I aren't people of the underworld, I think we'll be good friends. That's quite beautiful. Li Fan sneered, but what you're doing is different from the kind of people you're talking about. If it can end all of this, I'm willing to do evil. You can hate me. It's fine. You wish. You're the good guy and the bad guy. Li Fan said bluntly, you're just an idealist. Especially in this snowy mountain, I have a lot of friends. I can't let you guys do whatever you want. It seems like we're destined to be enemies. Jiang Feng wrapped his face cloth again. Holy war troops, attack Li Fan. Ignore everything. Abandon life and death. These clones were originally like ruthless warriors. Upon hearing the order, they immediately rushed towards Li Fan regardless of anything else. There were hundreds of Li Fan. It was a bit scary when they all rushed toward him. Everyone, don't be polite. Take more heads. Li Fan encouraged the people around him. Sigh, facing the president, I still can't bear to kill him, Jiang Feng sighed, which caused Li Fan to roll his eyes. What do you mean by you can't bear to kill him? Just now when you were cutting him, I'll take care of the rest. All right, you guys protect the two of them. Leave the rest to me. After all, this is my bad karma. I'll handle it myself. Li Fan took a step forward and walked toward the clones. Li Fan's current aura was shocking. If it was a normal person, they would definitely be scared to the ground and lose the will to fight. But these clones were different. They didn't have any feelings. They only wanted to complete the task that Jiang Feng gave them. Just like what Jiang Feng said, ignore everything and abandon life and death. In the blink of an eye, these clones had already arrived in front of Li Fan. Li Fan punched them one by one, bursting their heads. This cloned face caused Li Fan to feel annoyed. Too weak. Li Fan casually killed these clones. At the same time, he didn't forget to ridicule them. What's the use of developing such trash? An army naturally has cannon fodder. Jiang Feng raised his head and took a look. There are also elites. Huh. Li Fan also raised his head subconsciously. At this moment, a man suddenly landed on top of him. His feet were covered in flames as he kicked at Li Fan. Li Fan raised his fist and exchanged a blow with him. Bang! Flames and strength accompanied each other. The powerful impact pushed Li Fan a few steps back. The figure of the man in front of him also flipped a circle before landing on the ground. The flames on his feet slowly disappeared. Another Li Fan, another clone. The one who caused great damage to our sword reliance is this guy. What's with the flames on his feet? Jin Hisao frowned. Li Fan, is this your secret technique? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.